Just as I was about to give up, something deep inside, giving me all life, using it to be alone, losing my own control. I was sacrificed for us to survive. Every drop of my blood letting go of my sanity from within.
Hello and welcome to the Astral Chain Spoilercast. I'm your host, Dan Video Games from GigaBoots.com, and we have our full crew with us here today. For example, Bob.
Oh, hey guys.
How's it going, Bob?
Oh, it's all right, you know.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're here very excited to talk about Astral Chain today, just like KZ from KZExcellent.com.
You can only see this podcast if you hit the plus button.
And the information is displayed with Mr. Feel from Mr. Feel's Wild Ride.
I hope you're having a very lappy day.
So, one of the things we do with the Spoilercast is we do a Famitsu-style scoring where all four people who've come together to talk about the game give the game a score, whole integers between the number 1 and 10. But before we do that, I feel like, what is Astral Chain? Mr. Field, do you actually have a summary?
No, I wasn't aware I was supposed to have one of those. We didn't do them for the other
Someone did not
Spoilercast.
do their fucking job.
Okay, well,
We didn't do
you know
one.
what?
We didn't do one for the other Spoilercast.
It's okay.
I think we may have.
It's okay. I've got this. Astral Chain is the story of a paramilitary person going to work for his dad, using robots powered by the soul of his dad, ? He fights off an oncoming alien invader from destroying this universe. Also instrumentality.
I'm sad you didn't do a feel impression for that.
Well, it wasn't scripted.
Oh,
That's why it was so good. Let's go ahead and start with KZ. KZ, what? Give me your 2-sentence review and a score.
Astral Chain is a fun video game by Platinum Games. I had a really great time going through its action gameplay, but a lot of the various extra systems feel a little bit too unrefined, and some things felt a bit undercooked. Giving it a 7.
Okay. Mr. Feel, let's get your 2 sentences and your 2 cents and score.
Astral Chain is a good game, one of the most realized by Platinum. However, it has many flaws that ate at me more and more as I reflected upon the game after completing it. 7 out of 10.
Hey, Bob, let me get your 2 sentences and a score.
Astral Chain is probably Platinum's worst game. It has basically 0 replay value. It just got good music, though. I'm gonna give it a 7 just because it's got interesting ideas.
I can't believe this is happening. Astral Chain is a game with immense potential. Heading into it, I thought it was going to be my favorite Platinum Games game, but as I played through the game with a bunch of unenjoyable side quests and unrefined mechanics, bad frame rate, and very loose-feeling controls, I was extremely disappointed by Astral Chain. As such, my final score reflects the fact that there's so much potential, and I think like a refined sequel could be my game of the year. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Did everybody give it a 7 out of 10?
yes! How the fuck Our final score is a 28. 7s across the board.
So just so people know, we don't talk about the scores before we record these.
Never at all.
No.
I actually was gonna give it an 8 before I reflected on it more last night. And I was like,
That's
well,
why
I
you
can't
heard my
really.
intense shock over Bob's review.
See, that's the funniest
What
thing.
this is the worst shit. 7.
I understand. Like, there are points when I was playing the game where I was like, this is the fucking worst. This is so fucking bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of the core of the problem here, that I really, heading into it, the way they frame it, it could have gone in so many directions. But at the end of the day,
it could have been so much better.
Yes.
This was like a half step when they should have taken a full one.
Yeah. And it's not just on one level. It's basically when it comes to everything, like character progression and customization, the fluidity of movement. All of these things are very unrefined or not fully realized systems that have problems. For example, one of the main ways to upgrade your abilities is to literally learn skills, learn stat upgrades, or get random ability drops. Now,
yeah,
random,
I don't know why Platinum has been really attached to that idea for a while. Ever since Transformers, they've been like, here's our strange, like almost MMO-esque progression system, and I'm like, that's not what I fucking want.
I feel like even Transformers was a little bit more logical. Like, you could break down the weapons you find and try and refine it to better weapons, if I remember right. This literally is it's a random drop, so you just have to hope that it was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, you have to. What you do is you have to farm the gold slimes because they drop really rare ones.
I'm pretty sure the gold slimes only show up the one time you haven't gotten them, so you only get one gold slime per level, and you only get it once.
Maybe it changes if you're on a different difficulty.
That's possible.
Hey, what's a gold slime?
Holy
you
shit.
know those things, those gold things that pop up and then run away from you, and you don't kill them?
No.
He doesn't.
Oh, you never encountered any of those in the whole playthrough?
I have no idea what's going on right now.
Well, you know like the slime type enemies? They're like a goo thing with there's a gold one that if you step in the right spot in every level, it'll pop up, like taunt you and then run away. And if you kill it, it'll drop like a really rare gene skill for the Legion.
Yeah.
Those are still usually
Hey everyone,
bad.
I played 40 hours of this game.
Yeah, we should talk about that real quick before we go into further discussion. So he played 40. I played just on the cusp of 50, and I almost have every case done, except for File 12's cases, which aren't real cases. They're just combat trials. Bob, how
you
much?
have to do all 70, Dan.
71. 71, and your joke's funny, except for I've already done 34.
It's funny, except go away.
Except I'm halfway done. Bob,
I think it was 45 hours what I ran at. 46 maybe.
Field, do you know how much playtime you've got?
Somewhere, I would have to assume somewhere around 30 hours, because I beat the game. I didn't replay any cases beating the game. Then I played like the first 2 cases on the super platinum difficulty.
Pure platinum.
That mode's so bad.
Yeah, Bob, how many levels did you try to beat?
I got through the first 3 files.
Okay. I did, I think 2, maybe 3 files on that. Most of my time in the end game was spent trying to get cases, because when you solve cases, the first time you do it, it pops up with the first time bonus. That gives you your common material codes, your common codes.
Yeah, it gives you your progression material.
Right, and
I think the game really leans too hard on.
Yeah, tying your progression to a thing that's a unique drop kind of sucks, and it makes me wish they had a normal experience system in this game.
After playing so much of Astral Chain, I finished the final file, File 12, which is the post-game begins, and I go, oh, this is the last premium code I need. All right, I mastered 1 Legion. I'm
on the cusp of mastering my 4th.
Yeah, like,
I didn't master
I finished the game, and I only had enough to get the Sword Legion to max skill tree.
Bob,
I also did not max my weapon or my Legion carrying case.
Legatus, and I've maxed both of those, which give you premium codes when you do that. So that's nice at least. Bob, did you max out any legions?
I only maxed out 1 Legion, and I also didn't max out my sword or anything else. Like, you're pretty
I got
limited.
the sword to like level 7.
Yeah. I actually neglected my Legatus to upgrade my sword, because what I realized is my Legion had abilities and
strong
stuff that buffed my strength, and that in turn also affected theirs. So I kind of just wanted my X-Baton to be strong, because if their health bar is smaller, they can come back sooner,
I focused on the Legion because it increases the recharge speed of them coming back.
At a certain point, it does. Past that point, it actually doesn't. I think it's somewhere around level 6 it peaks. I think that's right. But yeah, speaking of the RNG ability drops and how crucial that is, because abilities are things that take up, this is a spoiler cast. I assume you've played the game. At max, any Legion can equip 5 slots. And that actually is the way you break the motherfucking game. Let me explain what it dropped for me. It's somewhere around file 7 and why I turned my brain off for the last 10 hours of the normal playthrough.
Oh no.
It dropped an attack plus 25% with auto medic and a 4% slow chance. So I'm just ordering everything as the Arms Legion, and everything's just dying. Everything.
So that's why you kept asking about the Arms Legion.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it's broken.
See, I never used the fusion thing.
Yeah.
I hated it. Mm-hmm. And so I stuck the gene codes. It's like, you're immune to slime now. So I'm like, good.
You know that Jenna Anderson fight you have on the top of Neuron headquarters?
Yeah.
She didn't last
sicko mode.
She didn't last 4 whole combos as Arms Legion.
Ooh,
oh no.
Damn.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, no, it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's just showing a random drop. It completely changed the game. Like
Bob still doesn't have a drop anywhere near that good.
Yeah, I didn't get a 25% attack buff until I think I beat the game, or maybe chapter 10. Like basically having beaten the game.
Yeah.
Are you trying to tell me that we have yet another spoiler cast in which Dan found some way to trivialize the end of the game?
That is my divine right. The game was like, oh, it's Dan. Here you go.
They're like, we don't have an Ultima weapon, but we have this.
Yeah, and it really did. I don't feel like the core gameplay. The way I described this to Bob and the way I thought about this is the combat in this feels like so many almost fully developed ideas for combat options. It's like if you made a Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, but with no sword and nothing but the other weapons.
To me, it feels like that they went. At some point, they had the idea of, let's put every mechanic from every Platinum game into this game in some form.
They literally do that,
and not focus on any one, and they're all half baked.
Yeah, like cutting.
I felt that
doesn't
immediately.
feel...
Not the half-baked thing necessarily, but when you start the game and you're going, oh, the enemies do the red flash that, to show they're about to attack, that I remember in Metal Gear Rising. Oh, when you dodge, you can slow things down like witch time slightly. Mm-hmm. Oh, Zendatsu's back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, Sword Legion gets blade mode, basically.
But bad.
Yeah,
but bad. Like every single one of these things we're saying is from some other Platinum game. It's just like, here's a bad version of this.
Yeah,
what dodges don't work.
Your dodge slows down time. I'm like, oh, Bob's gonna love this.
Controlling your Legion is like controlling the line in Wonderful 101, except bad.
Which
was already
makes sense.
bad.
I didn't even like it in that game.
That's
the moving the stick to move your Legion around to capture them, like the Wonderful 101 like line stuff, is really good if this video game had no walls whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, if this game had a structured camera system,
even if it had no fucking walls, I had times where I was about to loop a guy and decide, no, you're chain clipped through him.
Oh yeah, no, I've saved so many clips of this game where I wrapped a dude 3 times in a row and the Sword Legion kept going blink and not doing shit.
My favorite one is when you do wrap them, it works, and you do a sync attack, and then they break out of the chain and attack you during your sync attack.
Yeah, sync attacks
The sync attacks are trash.
Yeah,
like all of this game is filled with so many moves that are like lock you in a huge animation that looks cool, but you still take damage.
Also, the damage output of the sync attacks isn't even high enough to, offset the opportunity cost of being able to fucking dodge out of the way of something.
Right?
Like,
then they give you parry, which is a random drop, but it's by far the most powerful defensive option in the entire game.
I don't think I ever got parry then.
Yeah.
I did. It's a gene skill. And you just flick the stick towards them, and you can do it anytime, even if you're in the middle of the animation. And it has a way too generous a window, and it just blows them off balance, and you can beat their shit in.
Yep, it's completely broken.
Yeah, I never got that, or I didn't look at the gene skills nearly as much as I should. So I may just in fact have it, but that's
Yeah,
that's rough. I thought the closest thing to a parry was going to be like if you use this game's blade mode equivalent. Because they have a tutorial where it's like, if you time it right when they're about to attack you, I'm like, when would I ever want to use this?
I've never used that in combat a single time, except when you have to cut the support
Cut
unit.
the lines.
I think it's insane that like you
The
you
range
can't
is so bad. How many times did you use the blade mode to cut the line? But it's like, nah, you're 2 centimeters behind it.
right.
Many,
But it doesn't
many,
give
many
you
times.
it doesn't give you any depth.
A lot.
Like there's no depth.
it doesn't communicate that
Signaling.
because
In
it's a
anything in the
two-dimensional
game, there's
line.
no depth of where you're going or what you're hitting.
Yeah.
I fell into so many pits because I couldn't read depth.
Well, not only that, which I want to go ahead and stress, this game has a really bad setup for lighting. Like, the lighting does not help you read the environment easily, so it makes all of these other problems even worse. But yeah, I guess we could talk about. Well, Bob, you made a salient point the other day of the one time there's a boss fight that feels like it's taking advantage of a mechanic you've been introduced to is when you're fighting the Arrow Legion. And it's shooting those walls at you that you have to cut.
Yeah.
And how it, that's kind of like Revengeance, where Revengeance introduces a mechanic and you have a unique moment, a unique boss fight wrapped around it. But this feels so awful. It's like,
Also,
well,
I
they
didn't cut
also
a
seem
single
to,
one
like,
of those
have
fucking walls in that fight.
Yeah, they seem to have given
I
you
went
like
around
2
all
ways
of
to
them.
do it because they put the floating poles next to it, so you could like wrap your chain around them to bounce around the walls, so you could get through things quicker. So it seems like they just gave you 2 options.
It even sucks shit that the Arrow Legion fight is by far the best of the fights against the other legions that you captured.
Yeah.
At least
that-
that one had an idea. Like it was a lot about platforming and about cutting stuff.
What do you mean, Bob? I loved the fight against the Arm Legion where there's puddles of goo everywhere and you just get fucked.
That was great.
Hey,
I also
Hey, it
loved
was,
the like 12 homunculus fights that were the same fight.
Bob, there were 4, thank you, and they were all
Bob.
in a row!
When
Hey!
When you-
At
wait.
least the Beast Legion, where you have to use the arm thing and you have to grab the electrical things on the ground to throw it at him. But you had to dodge an attack. You dodged into the one you didn't see.
yeah.
also he
Yeah.
constantly throws more down, so you never actually clear any space.
Yeah, there's not a single 8 out of 10 boss fight in this. In fact, let me explain. Let me explain my fucking score here. I think the music is fucking incredible. It's one of the best soundtracks I've heard in a game recently, except for the Dark Hero theme on the male version,
That's Kino.
because that guy can't fucking sing, and the half of the Savior theme where he is also singing. Basically, any song where he doesn't sing is really great.
He's in a Japanese boy band. He has to be a good singer, okay, Dan? You can't just say he's not a
Also
good singer.
listening to the music not in the game is the only way to actually appreciate it.
Yeah, because the mixing for the game is really bad because it's one of those games that's hyper conservative where they're like, what should our sound design be? Bury the music because anything else is hard.
I was like, man, this game has shitty, unmemorable music, and somebody was like, what about these tracks? And I'm like, I didn't hear a fucking single one of these.
Like that they're
Yeah, I'm guessing they just really prioritized headphones because I remember plenty of tracks from this game having played it like that.
I mean, yeah.
And I had a lot less problems with the music getting buried.
I mean, the thing is, like, at the end of the day, like, you can hear the music just fine. It's just that the mix of the songs, the dynamics of the composition, it's literally crushed by how much they compress that part of the audio in engine.
Yeah,
which,
it could be better. Absolutely.
Which, as I was explaining earlier, it kind of makes sense to mix it that way because this is technically a portable game, but I don't. I just think it's
For
out-
Taglays.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that seems so stupid to me because at least a decent amount of the players are going to be playing it docked. Like, why wouldn't you have 2 mixes that it flips between?
2 salient points real quick about this, and one is very audio, the other is related. The The audio in this apparently is broken, like it doesn't do surround sound output, I hear. I don't have a surround sound setup. I do just high-quality stereo speakers and headphones. But this game is one of the few Switch games, apparently, or the only Platinum game on Switch that just has a broken surround sound output. So there's no discrete bass channel and there's no center speaker. So that's kind of weird. And that makes me think about how Bayonetta doesn't have that problem, but it was handled by another company, I believe. The port was. So then that, like Bob brought this up the other day, this is the only Platinum game for the Switch handled by Platinum, and it runs the fucking worst. Like, it runs so much worse than Bayonetta 1 and 2. And I think... I think...
Yeah, it's really worrying for Bayonetta 3. Like, honestly, this whole game is making me worry about Platinum as a company.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's making me
This
worry.
Bayonetta will run at 30.
If it's anything like this game, it'll run like freaking under 20 most of the time.
I gotta
Allegedly.
I gotta post that fucking video clip. I have a recording Bob watched yesterday where it runs it under, like, it has to be at most 13 frames a second. Like, you saw it,
And it's
Bob.
not even combat.
You can get
It's
a live
literally
reaction
walking
of us
around.
going, oh no, looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it's not even combat. I'm just running around an empty area. Maybe the timer on screen is just ruining the frame rate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wish I wish this game was locked at 30. I wish this game didn't have so much, we need to make the animations look really good. Let's do some animation blending between all these discrete animations so that way it looks like a really good, really smooth, dynamic animation, but it feels like shit now. Like, you can't move a little in this game. If you tap forward and let go, your character starts to lean forward to move, and then he just goes back to a standing position.
I love anytime you walk up to a ledge, and then if you hit the opposite direction and try to walk away from it, he'll do a stumble off of the ledge for a second, and then you can't move, and then you can turn around.
Yeah, it's great in combat, too.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob reminded me of something. I'm sure KZ is going to rip this topic from my hands and start strangling the game.
Sure.
The platforming is so fucking bad. The indicator in any of, like, they couldn't just make it the indicator under the Legion is where you end up when you hit that button. No, the Legion takes up space, so you end up next to that indicator, either the right of it to the, you don't know where you're gonna end up.
Yeah,
so
In platforming,
it's
in
just a fucking
platforming,
guessing game.
And platforming in Astral Chain is fucking excusable.
Yes.
You can't have a jump button,
all right,
though,
all
Casey.
right. It's a simple idea. You jump to your Legion because you're connected, and it's like, oh, that's a really neat way to get in, switch from long range to close range. And they introduced it, I believe, in like the second, like
in the second file.
Yeah, technically like the second big file where they're like, all right, you're gonna like jump over to this like escape, like this ladder, this other area, and it's like, oh, I missed. Why did I miss? Oh, because the spot that's under the Legion that they're indicating is just where it's going to be standing, not where you're going to be standing. You're just going to push him forward slightly. You also need to align to make sure no geometry will ever touch you until you've landed.
If your elbow brushes against something, you just fall to your fucking death immediately.
Your foot was within a cubic foot of an object. You just clipped and fell.
It is,
and then they were like, let's introduce these poles you can platform around, except we won't let you see the other side, so you can't actually plan where you're going. You just have to hope.
Yeah, because you
mystery.
can't control the camera because we don't know how to make this make any sense.
Yeah, I feel like this game with
please don't talk about the camera yet.
He's not ready.
I'm not ready because then I have to talk about the lock-on, and I don't want to talk about the lock-on.
Okay,
yet.
yeah, I don't want to launch into that. Let me tell.
But to continue on this platforming, there is one sequence at the very end of the game in the last mission where the first phase of the final battle starts, which is the giant form of Noah.
Yes.
Where you have to do a sequence of platforming where he blows up platforms and moves them around.
Yes.
And then you have to go to them. This is a video game that expects you to do everything with precision, quickly, in a game that shits and farts its way through everything.
So,
they give you 4 fucking seconds, and you can't read depth, and I fell 12 times, and every time you fuck up, even the 20-second long platforming segment, they start it over.
So a lot of people didn't pay attention to the plot. Let me explain. In the final battle, the true villain of the game, the platforming, comes to attack you.
That was my favorite moment.
This isn't even the platforming
We must
for
save
me.
humanity with bad game mechanics.
But in the last mission before the final boss, there's that part where it's like, I hope you were using the Beast Legion because now you have to run towards the camera.
You have to do your Crash
and dodge
Bandicoot
shit.
moment.
Oh, that was funny as shit.
And I'm like,
Hey,
but
I thought that was great because I was already using Beast Legion because I reached the point of I'm lazy. Anytime anything doesn't look like combat, I'm immediately going into the Beast Legion mode to make it faster.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Also, they were kind of telegraphing, oh, they're going to make you use every fucking L1 skill in this like stretch of gameplay.
so many parts of this game feel like they were designed for a game significantly more precise than what they shipped.
Yeah.
It feels like either it's flawed enough where you think it would be made for a game that's a lot more relaxed in nature, but instead it's like it's holding up so much weight that it is buckling under the pressure of.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like overall, this game presents its difficulty.
7 out of 10.
In that's the thing, right? You're battling how much you like the aesthetics, the rough ideas, and the concepts it plays with versus how everything actually goes. Like, to be honest, the plot is so fucking insipid that I almost gave it a 6. But that's...
Don't talk about the plot yet.
Yeah.
I told Bob, I was like, I could literally do an hour-long fucking video that is just me describing all of the fucking... I could do a 3-hour video essay on just the plot and going through every plot thread and how none of it's good!
I could do that too. 1 hour will be composed to Section 5, Why Acura Sucks.
How about Section 1? Why the fuck is this a silent protagonist?
Yeah, and that's a thing I'm really glad that came up, like, because before we do Spoilercasts, I prep by watching reviews just to know, like, I don't watch the screen, I listen to it, so that way I don't know the score, because apparently people don't say the scores in video reviews anymore, which is neat. I just want to hear talking points and hear frames of minds about the game, so that way it's something I can consider and gestate on before we talk about it in the spoiler casts. I'm really glad how many people noticed there are no pros and nothing but a billion cons to the whole, your main character is a mute fucking fish who doesn't emote and just stares blankly at his dad.
Hey, Dan, you committed insubordination and went to a place you're not going to go. What do you have to say for yourself?
T-pose.
Hal, talk to me.
Hey,
T-pose is in prison.
don't you care about your sibling and father, which you have no connection to whatsoever because you're a silent protagonist, so it can't show any character relations at all.
It's like farcical.
It's okay. Your sibling stopped caring about her dad very early on.
It's farcical how many times it cuts to a thing and it's like, we gotta inject a character so they can say words because the main character can't. So like Hal shows up to say things on your behalf. You cut to a flashback between you, your sister, and your dad, or if you're playing the lady, you, your brother, and your dad, and you're just mute. You're not expressing or anything.
Why did they do it this way?
Okay, so
They already have
reason.
both of those characters that have voice actors that voice things because
I know
they
the
are
reason.
the plot device depending on which one you chose.
So here's why. They would literally have to record twice as many lines. That's it.
Yes.
Do
it.
Dude, that's called making a fucking game.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you guys didn't play the rest of this game. Everything is incredibly cheap. We go to the same area 5 times.
I think it was about 4 files in, I started referring to it as the budget dimension.
Oh yeah, you go to the budget dimension constantly, but then you constantly go back to the main
budget
square.
plane, actually.
Yeah.
It's the Breath of the Wild shrines, only red.
They're like Bob's talking about with even things outside of the budget dimension, how you re-go to like the
Harmony Square.
You go to Harmony
Square like
so
every
many times.
mission.
Like at some point, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought you back and they're like, "We're at Harmony Square. It's different because it's Taco Tuesday."
Yo, that big hologram hot dog thing looked great.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. I was okay with the Harmony Square for the 2. Like, you can start here, and we kind of threw some various red cases and blue cases to do, because I like the idea of, all right, run the beat a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Check some stuff out.
That should be the game.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah. But like the part where it's weird is where this isn't like an open world game. It's a linear game, but they keep doing only like, it's like if you watched a feature-length film that only took place in 5 rooms. Like it gets weird. Yes, it's kick-ass.
Astral Chain is the kick-assy of Platinum games.
I'm not going to say that I feel that way, but I am very okay with that statement.
I wouldn't even mind how many times you go back to Harmony Square if it was a little bit more fleshed out, but every area feels like just a bunch of boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most interesting part of that place, I'm like, I guess there's a basketball court. I can remember that was there.
You know, we were talking about platforming, and I didn't get out one of the microcosms of this game that actually I feel expresses and represents the larger thing. It's almost like a weird literal, like not literal, but symbolic synecdoche of the larger thing. There's a mechanic in this game for those who, because you could go through a whole playthrough and not really notice. If you're standing at the top of stairs or a ledge, you can shoot out your Legion and it'll go straight. And then if you hold ZL, you can move it around real quick while it's the same height as you. This game nonstop wants you to access secret areas by standing at the top of stairs, shooting that thing to the side, swinging around and getting on top of the thing, except for the times it doesn't want you to and puts invisible walls in the fucking way. Non-fucking stop. It's like, yeah, it's a handrail just like every other time, but this time it's got a giant invisible wall, so you didn't find the correct way.
I didn't even know that was a mechanic.
The most insane fucking version of this. You know that timed area where you're supposed to do all of the red shift gathering and gate crushing while
clean up all the red shift
while your siblings in the astral plane. Right before that area, around the investigation scene for the homunculus, if you exit the backside at the top of those stairs, you could shoot off your Legion in a specific direction. You can then wrap it around to the other side of the handrail and just barely put it on a platform that's maybe 4 inches above the ground, but it's the area directly underneath the stairs. You then walk to the bottom of the stairs, walk around, and do the snatch mechanic to pull yourself up 4 inches to get below the stairs on this extra layer of the platform. You can now run around the entire skyscraper that the homunculus fight happened on and crouch and crawl underneath things. Also, you can get a supply crate. Here's how bad the invisible wall syndrome is, guys. I couldn't get within 10 feet of a fucking building next to me because they put a fucking invisible wall right next to the supply crate, which was nowhere near an actual wall. It took me 10 minutes to figure out how to escape this dimension that I had locked myself in because there are so many invisible walls. And then I noticed on this one corner of this skyscraper that you're skirting around, there's a ledge and you can fall to much earlier in the level. And I'm like, this is insane. Why is this their insane execution of bad platforming mechanics as a challenge? Like
the whole time dealing with the platforming, I was thinking this is Dark Souls platforming. Like they'll constantly put items just barely out of reach of you by literally ankle-high walls that you can't get your character to walk up. So you need to do some absurd thing to get
Dark Souls. This is worse than Dark Souls platforming because there's very, very little mandatory platforming in a Dark Souls game.
There's little mandatory, but anything like there's a ton of secret things in Dark Souls that are just like that are just figure out some way to get your character a tiny bit off the ground because you can't.
This game doesn't kill me, so I think it's better than that.
And that's actually key to the exact thing I was going to talk about next, because Bob brought up Dark Souls. I think this game is reviewing better than it would have if they didn't give you potions that are practically labeled with, hey, you should use these, like, immediately, because you have temp items when you go into each level. So it's the game's way of signaling, hey, you are expected to heal yourself, so anytime you take damage from an unavoidable attack, that's fine. You have a potion we gave you, and you're supposed to use it.
Which goes hand in hand with how the game ranks you.
Oh, man,
actually,
I was... Okay, you know how you play a game like Devil May Cry 5? You know how you play a game like Devil May Cry 5 and you're fighting like a complicated enemy like the Fury, and you get fucking hit real hard, and you're like, well, I got hit, but I know there's a way that I could have avoided that. It's on me.
Yeah.
In Astral Chain, I'm like, no, fuck you. That's you.
I have at least...
I couldn't... There was nothing I could fucking do there.
So I have at least 5 fucking video clips of shit hitboxes not making any sense. I'm talking swords that don't come within a foot of me killing me. There's a moment, I don't know which of these enemies is like combat trial exclusive and how many of these present themselves in the actual playthrough of the game. But there's a moment where certain enemy types have a thing where they hit the ground and they shoot out like flames along the ground, and then they all explode. They send out a weird crack in the ground that's red, and after a certain amount of time, they all explode in flames. Okay, have you guys seen that enemy? There's a reason I need you in the audience to have seen this ever.
So it's like cracks in the ground appear and then flames?
Yeah. The cracks shoot outward in a linear line. A linear line.
Yeah, they
shoot outward in a line, and then flames come up from all of the cracks simultaneously, okay?
Yeah, I think one of the major bosses does that.
Okay, so there's an ice version of this. The ice version sends out blue cracks. Then the ice version activates its attack, and cascadingly, one after another, the cracks nearest it to the cracks at the farthest end shoot up ice one by one. The problem, if you're standing on the furthest one, which is meters away from this enemy, when that first ice pick goes up next to the enemy, you'll take damage. Like a hitbox appears that covers the whole range of cracks, even though there isn't physically anything there yet. It's just a circle on the ground that's blue, and you took damage because a spike appeared next to the fucking enemy. Like, there's so many loose fucking hitboxes in this. It's insane. It's infuriating. And yeah, I think what Phil was talking about is the same conclusion I came to, and I think Bob came to, of like, this game just does unavoidable attacks. It has a bunch of shit. Like,
okay, poll. It's time for a poll real quick.
Sure.
How many times did you get caught in the final boss's death sphere?
Oh, yeah, like probably 4 or 5.
Okay.
I got caught 5 times.
So when
here, my experience with that was like, at the end, it throws in a little black hole-esque thing that sucks you in like Zelda's Final Smash in Smash Bros. Ultimate. and then it put my health to 0. I'm like, all right, I have another battery. And then it gives you, in the game, if you lose a life, if you have a battery indicated by a heart, it brings you back, but also gives you 40% more health to the point where it just goes past the boundary of your health bar. God, I got hit by it again with over max health. It still killed me.
Yeah, it's just an instant
kill. Yeah, it
kill.
does 2,500 damage.
Oh, wow. Shit. So
no one is going to have more than that.
And the final boss of Bayonetta kind of had an attack like this, but it was really obviously telegraphed for a long time before the boss does it. Here they'll just throw it out.
Yeah.
No,
I like death orb time.
My winning attempt, he attempted it 4 times.
I literally was attacking him, and then the Death Orb was just behind me, and I was in it, and I was like, "What?"
I was 1 hit away, and it hit me.
So I actually this is what I'm talking about with my experience here, guys. That didn't get me once. It didn't even come close to getting me. But I watched Bob play the final boss, and I noticed that was some cheesy fucking bullshit. Because Jenna, keep in mind, Jenna died on that rooftop in 4 combos. How long do you think the final boss lasted? It was not long.
Did
I
you
beat
skip
on that
attacks?
motherfucker forever.
I didn't skip that attack, but I only saw it once because I was killing him really
I almost feel like you would have
fast.
ended up skipping entire attacks that he would do because, you know,
There was a
takes
time
him a bit to start up his various different moves.
I had to stop killing a dude so they could finish delivering exposition more than once.
Tying into the story element, I love how that final boss is completely divorced from meaning.
Okay, we can't talk about the plot.
That is the...
Why can I not talk about the plot?
Because we haven't started talking about the plot yet.
Okay. We're doing it.
Okay,
So,
let's talk. Let me think about.
Astral Chain is a fucking stupid collage of cool shit the writer saw over the last 30 years. It cribs so much shit from fucking Ava, and it has nothing interesting to do with any of it. There's a cutscene in the 3rd fucking level where they go, by the way, he's Gendo. And for some reason, no character develops past that point. Jenna Anderson doesn't make any sense herself. She's like, he's a bad guy.
What was
I'm
her
like,
plan?
okay, I get it.
What was her plan?
Exactly.
What was her fucking plan?
So I'm gonna
the
calmly...
closest thing I can figure out is, oh, she's making the homunculi that can absorb and beat the Chimera.
But
nothing says that. I have to make that up.
No. Even worse than that, things she say constantly fly in the face of that, because when you first see her before she creates a homunculus, or maybe shortly thereafter, she talks about how the archiving that the redshift is, the archiving of humanity into the Chimera and then into digital crystals, is the rebirth of the universe.
The astral plane.
Right.
It's the giant storage container for
rebooting existence.
Humanity. And this is going to save the world. Also, you know, this guy's a bad guy. You should see that he's a bad guy. I'm going to kill all of you and put you in boxes.
Well, not only that, she's not only doing that, but her plan doesn't make any sense because she wants, from what she says at the beginning, the Chimera to succeed in archiving humanity so that way we can reboot. Because in her mind, that is continued existence. In her mind,
is that
Yosef,
what she wants? Because there's another thing that totally contradicts that.
Let me finish. She says that Yosef's plan is insanity because Yosef's plan is to completely counter that, become as gods. But the reason it's fucking insane is halfway through the game she just starts using the homunculus to eat like Chimera, which doesn't make any sense with any of her plot at the beginning.
It's like their motivations switch.
I feel like the eating Chimera thing is less of like them actively trying to change what they wanted to do and more like this will show people that this is a really powerful threat because it's eating all the things that take you a while to take down.
But here's the thing, KZ.
She literally says, like, before she dies, we don't have to change.
Yeah, she says
to
that,
Yosef.
And you can ignore the whole Blue Evolve situation with her and just be like, why does she keep
fucking drugs?
You can ignore all of that. Because
the drugs that work when they're first shown and then work differently afterward.
Yeah,
I'm so mad that they didn't bring Kyle back at all. That pisses me off.
They turned what seemed to be an important third faction into a filler episode character.
Yeah,
Kyle, I really expected at some point when like one of the 40 times that you're surrounded by the Ravens for Kyle to show up and start smacking them, but that was apparently too hard.
Every part of this game seems like a fucking mishmash of concepts that don't work elegantly together. Like, for those who don't know, the whole instrumentality thing is signaled in, like, fucking File 3, or as they call it in this, Project Noah.
What, the cutscene where Yosef is talking to the Order?
Yeah, when Gendo talks
the prophet of money, the prophet of power and knowledge.
One cutscene
Actually,
one that is less than a minute long.
Actually, KZ, you did the game's work for it. I want to clarify something you said. That is the Seeker of Wisdom, the Seeker of Wealth, and the Seeker of Power. We don't know for a fact that those are the prophets because the dialogue in that scene doesn't 100% match up with the concept that they are the prophets.
Now, it's okay. I forgot what their names were, so I just used prophet.
Yeah, the prophets are a thing they talk about only in the text files where it talks about before the incident, Yosef was warned about it, and he was made to prepare by building the Ark and preparing the technology for the Ark.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's supposed to be weirdly omniscient things from the prior two existences of humanity that are guiding humanity to a new solution that'll prevent the archival. But then...
What?
The dialogue...
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
where is this information?
Text box.
Bob has had to tolerate
let me-
me yelling about this game's plot for over 3 hours this week.
Can I?
Where
I
is
want
this
to quickly.
information?
I want to bring up that information for feel here. Okay. Do you remember the part in the game where they decided we have no idea how to present our plot anymore and said we're going to give you
Text logs.
text that takes 45 minutes to read before the title card of a file?
Yeah, in that.
Yes,
in that
but
part.
I read most of it, but I didn't pick up any of this.
Oh yeah,
That was
it's
like
in there.
one of the first ones they give you in the big list of lore.
Yeah.
Before they start
I-
talking about
Yeah, it was-
Section 09, which we're giving you fucking 18 paragraphs of it because you're going to it on this file. We couldn't
why are the-
slowly build this up.
Why are
God,
the
no.
twins special? Is any of that in there?
No, and that's real quick. I thought that would be in the secret locked text files because there are data logs that are locked. Which the first time I came across it, I'm like, this is probably fucking written by Max. It's gonna be their birthday. I can't remember their birthday. I'll check their birthday and come back. I forgot to come back. You know why? You can only access the fucking text logs through the beginning of Mission 7. It exists nowhere fucking else except for
No,
FB.
it
Doesn't it-
it
doesn't-
also
no, it
exists
pops up
in
one other
11
time.
or 12.
But the point
Yeah,
is,
it
you
pops
can't
up one other
access
time.
it through a menu or anything else. It's not on your
Yeah,
PC
well,
like
why-
every other data log in the fucking game.
Owned.
Ugh.
Yep, it also exists in file 10 because they give you more files to read to let you know that Akira is doing blue and red cases because they're the leader of the Raven organization now, and they're letting you know that things went on without you.
Yeah.
You know what I like about Akira? I like that
Also,
scene
everyone
where
in
they
the world
have,
knows what chimeras are off screen.
they imply that they did like a informative video for the public.
Yeah, I know. They just went, yeah, everyone knows now.
But I like how Akira, for one less than a minute long cutscene, has internal strife about whether or not she's, or they are the real Akira or another clone, and then that goes away and is never addressed anymore, ever.
Actually, it's worse
That's
than
because they
never
have
addressed.
30 minutes of game left.
It's worse than never addressed because the correct phrasing is they never answer it. They address it because the actual ending of the game goes, we're not sure if this is the original Akira or what. We're not sure why she's here, but Akira's still alive, so it's fine.
Yeah, but that's not what I mean. Like their internal quandary is never further addressed.
Yeah, but the existential state of it is brought up as another question mark in this game full of half-developed question marks. It's so frustrating.
But I also don't really see it as much of an issue because it appeared in the last 40 minutes of the game and not like 3 hours because it's like they didn't have time to do anything else. It's like they decided to come up with this concept so fucking late.
I like how beating the final boss, which in theory has nothing to do with the astral plane at all,
Yeah.
somehow fixed all the problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you did it.
Good job.
You won.
Yeah, good job.
The game's over. Hey,
Talking-
did you enjoy the final boss that
Is out of
gets
order?
owned by Akira, but then they make you fight it anyway?
Yeah.
Like I told this to KZ last night, where it feels out of order. It feels like you fight the last phase second and then the second phase last. Where it's like,
Yeah.
you do the platforming thing against the giant monster, which, by the way, when that thing was born and looked like the homunculi, I was like, fuck you. I was so fucking mad. But then you don't actually have to fight it, so I got less mad.
So the final boss, to avoid beating up on the game for at least one of my statements, I want to point out that I wish they did the Noah core and all of that stuff last.
Right.
Because visually and everything with it was so fucking rad to me.
Yeah.
And then the real final boss came out, and I was like, this just feels
that
generic
entire
to me.
ending segment makes no sense. Like, Yosef shows up and he's like, I'm part of the astral plane now. And then Akira stabs him and he apparently dies. But then it's like, no, fight the monster now. Just fucking fight the monster.
Yeah, it does.
Like, it feels like that
out of
should have
order.
happened in reverse.
Yeah.
Where you fight the monster, then fight the core.
Then it goes crazy and gets more arms.
What's up, Bob?
They just wanted to have their big, epic one-on-one fight, no matter what.
They could have done it
Yeah, they could
before,
have.
though.
They could have done that for him second.
They could have,
but
that wouldn't have been the final
And
boss.
then they could have done the really cool, like, different thing where it's like you're fighting in the void because this is like the final act, and it would have been, it would have been Kino.
Also, everything is so poorly defined. Like, what was Yosef's plan exactly again?
Yosef's
God.
plan is to ascend to godhood by Okay, so wait, you haven't seen Ava. Okay, well, so his plan was to destroy.
I get it, but like,
Yeah.
I don't entirely get why I'm supposed to care.
He's going to destroy humanity and collect them all into one consciousness, which is, Project Noah, because that's Noah, and the arc is the arc. Get it?
Individual
Biblical shit.
individual consciousness still clearly exists because his and Akira's still exist.
Well, Akira's special.
Well, why does his still exist? To
Because
come out
it's his
and taunt
chest
me?
that he
Akira is
shoved the
special
jewel
in
into.
that she's one of the worst protagonists I've ever seen.
So I was trying to talk about this earlier, and then we got sidetracked with Field missed the part of the game where humanity has looped 3 times, and then we went on a tangent there. So in Ava, and I want to stress this because apparently conveying nuance over the internet is very difficult. It is okay to take things from other stuff, just develop it in your own unique way, have an interesting twist. Make your story meaningful and wrapped around it. For example, this just cribs the fuck out of instrumentality and the whole Gendo relationship to Seele, which would be fine. But the whole point of instrumentality is that it ties into Shinji as a character not knowing how to relate and connect to other people because he's afraid of being hurt. The ending of this game being instrumentality doesn't really tie into fucking anything. The twist is
Well, yeah, the
forecast.
protagonist has no personality. He just T-poses at people when they talk.
Yeah, the final boss should have been like, you can't defeat me if you T-pose.
My favorite.
Brief side issue. Them locking so many character customization options behind fucking weird hidden missions sucks shit. Especially the fact that they don't just let you color your shit however you want.
Okay, so yeah, the customization.
Did you know that you can get full control over your colors? You know what you have to do? Get every other predetermined color set first.
I actually have one set that I can just auto adjust already.
Yeah, Bob has a custom color set. I'm pretty sure I do too.
I think in like file 2 or 3, I already had a thing that let me adjust RGB values.
Wow. I would like to know, as a quick thing, before I asked Bob what he was going to say a second ago, fuck them naming the levels files and then also giving you 2 save slots. That's fucking weird.
I thought you were going to say fuck the thing of naming the files words and then the definition of the word.
Also fuck that. That's just some Ava shit. Like, I fucking hate. So I beat this game, and one moment I was like, man, I'm really glad the protagonist is named Akira, and it didn't actually crib any material from the anime Akira. And then I remembered the light cycle cool beginning where you do the sort of grinding on the ground to dodge shit, and I was like, oh, never mind, fuck, I don't care anymore. Because,
I was going to be like, they have to name the files like that, because then you can have the one where you go against Neuron and go to and assist Hal on the illegal thing. It's like, the file's
also, why
called
was that illegal?
complicit.
Yeah.
Why was that illegal?
The thing.
Yeah, it's deep.
Nothing there, like...
No one's allowed to go there.
Why? You don't find a corruption center. You don't find secret information about how Neuron is bad. It's just like, no, don't go there.
Actually, you did find out information. I believe his name was
People are living
Richard.
there and they're alive.
Well, not only that, but Richard was working with Neuron, and he was responsible for Blue Evolve, a thing they don't talk about ever again.
Yeah, and then there's the whole aspect that they've allegedly locked that place down because it's just been overrun with chimeras and like redshift stuff. But actually, there's
nothing in this game.
There's an entire community of raiders and people that are just still actually living there.
I like there's also just
nothing
cops.
in this.
Like just regular cops can be there too. Like you're just not assigned to the area, I guess. You're out of your jurisdiction.
Also it says like they can like get a fake pass and leave.
Yeah, that was a weird moment. That was a real weird moment.
In this game is like 50% of this game's story is Platinum putting their hand on my shoulder and going, "You get it, bro, right?" I'm like,
yes.
I mean, I guess. Sort of. I can make up something that sort of makes sense. Does that count?
I internally really hated the start of the file where you go to section 09 because they forced me to go through all of that fucking text reading to tell me about it in advance. I'm like, why couldn't you have just layered this in and maybe had a reading segment at the beginning of most files? So it was like, oh, it's like 2 minutes. And they're slowly building toward this.
Oh, KZ, you want them to organically and elegantly pull off a single fucking thing in this game?
This is how I would describe it. It's like one time, because I used to watch The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Where they would do a previously on this, and they'd show clips from a character who hasn't been seen for 3 seasons, and I'm like, oh, that's why they're doing it. It's because it's going to be relevant here. This had that same fake effect of, we're going to give you the critical information because it's about to be seen in 3 fucking minutes.
So, one of the most inexplicable plot points, it's just a weird thing. It's a loose thread, and it bugs me a lot. And this isn't what's wrong with the story. The thing I mentioned about instrumentality and all the other things, that it's just cribbing material from all the weird, like, oh man, it's a raw dramatic moment, but it's actually stupid because it's written like fucking garbage. Those are the problems with the plot. But this loose thread is really bugging me. I sat there and I was like, we just joined the Force. We got these Legatuses, and now we have legions. Where did these legions come from? Are they government issue? Like, did they have to go capture these? If you read Max's files that are locked behind a password, one of the text logs is like, yeah, these 2 people on my force died today. And, you know, he's still working for Neuron then, so I think the implication might be that it's their 2 legions, but the weird part is that happened 13 years ago or some shit. So it's like,
okay,
wait, you couldn't find
Thank
2?
you for reminding me, Dan.
You couldn't find 2 people in 13 years?
Yeah, no, that
is the Axe Did the Axe Legion somehow fuse with your dad?
Yes. That's the question mark they're bringing up, that they think by bringing it up as a question mark it's really brilliant, but in fact it's fucking stupid.
Because the chain is still attached to it when you find it.
Ooh.
But it wasn't attached when it broke off, so did he try to capture it somehow and get fused to it? Because then it like grabs your hand and picks you up and it flashes him over it.
Mm-hmm.
What if they put out a really dumb DLC story where you play as him and he's like, I'm gonna die, so I'm gonna fuse with this, but I'm gonna make sure it's, you know, the normal Legion form.
Then
so
this
I can
would
help my family.
Casey, if that happens, then this will complete the process of being the only plot as bad as Lords of Shadow 2.
I know. I was getting really excited.
It's just,
hey Bob, you probably have some points you want to talk about.
Keep in mind. I don't know, like in all likelihood.
Never mind.
In all likelihood, the Axe Legion
you too,
fucking
Bob.
the Axe Legion fucking killed him.
See, that's the weird part. No other Legion has just a chain hanging out, right? It's just the Hex Legion.
I have
so
no
clearly
idea
it got
what
wrapped around him in the time that, because you don't see your dad die. You just, you know, they cut away where it's like, oh, he's gone now. That's why Akira's like, if I had a Legion, I would go back and try to save Dad, and then completely forgot about that for the rest of the plot, and then pretended like, no, he's dead.
Yeah.
No, they couldn't think
They dropped that plot line.
Every
Character
single
writing is
chapter,
all so bad.
every single chapter ends with one incredibly groaner moment.
Every file.
I
know it's confusing because
whatever they wanna call
chapters are
them.
parts of a file. But yeah, every file ends with some really, oh man, I wrote a dramatic.
Well, Bob, give me a couple of groaner moment examples.
Yeah, give some examples.
The first one is file 2, where your dad dies. And you stand there T-posing at him while he won't run with you. For some reason, they have enough time to chat about how he's going to sacrifice himself. Is everyone else run towards an implied portal that's not even there?
I thought it was going to be 10 minutes before that. If you putting me in these situations make me feel like I'm going to die or something. He says something that's like the most death flaggable line possible and then dies 10 minutes later.
Right. It's literally, here, you protagonists have just got the ability to can actually fight these monsters no one else has any chance against and is being owned by. You should leave. I'm going to stand here and die for no reason. It reminded me.
I really thought he would show up again because I was like, this is way too generic for you to actually be what you're doing.
Right.
Like, this feels so heavy-handed that it has to be a swerve of, he's here and he's learned how to survive on the astral plane over these months, and he's, like, super extra raw now.
Right.
Yeah,
And then there's that thing...
Yeah.
But it really reminded me of Superman Returns, where Superman's dad just goes off into a tornado and like, no, don't save me, Superman.
No, that's Man of Steel, Bob.
Man of Steel, whatever it is.
Yeah. Superman Returns is the one with fucking
with the one that was okay.
the one with that guy playing Lex Luthor.
The one that is ostensibly still part of the...
comparing this to a Zack Snyder movie might be the meanest thing you've done yet.
And yet,
but,
really
like,
accurate.
Yes.
Why do they want you to
It's
care
truthful.
about your dad the whole game, but it's like, he was on screen for 15 minutes and all my character did is T-pose at him because he doesn't have a personality.
Yeah, you honestly feel more of a connection to Alicia, who wanted to get your dad's bone. Like,
You know what's sad?
What?
Like, I completely did not expect how File 2 happens, where they lose their legions and you'll spend the game collecting them. Because the whole time I was like, oh, you'll probably just, like, unlock new ones. Maybe these things transform into other forms. I don't know what made them think, we're going to set up a really cool team of very different characters. We're going to remove the thing that makes them relevant.
Yeah.
I really thought it was just like, oh, these are the types of legions, so you'll catch your own over the course of the game. But no.
But they effectively make every single character, Jin, Alicia, Max, the Akira, they make them all worthless because they don't have a legion. So at most you'll get like a mission where you help them and they're like, here's my flashback for my character. Now I will appear a lot less in the story now that I've given you that.
Remember how... what's up?
I was just going to go for another groaner moment of when your sister sacrifices herself like 12 times.
That sucked.
And every
so
time...
Which time when they tried to say, I want to make someone worse than Kairi from Kingdom Hearts 3.
So the worst part, I feel, is how many times, like, Bob and I were just laughing about it by the end of the game, because almost every time she does it, she runs up or jogs up, pushes you to the side, then stands, turns at the camera, and T-poses in order to get owned.
Yeah, she has to get owned in this exact way.
Like 3 times. Like, it's fucking nuts. Like, what? Stop writing that. God, fuck you.
Akira makes me so fucking angry whenever I think about her character, because one, just from the beginning when she's like, ugh, I guess you're getting used to your legion, huh? And I'm like, I'm gonna fucking hate you the entire game, aren't I? And then they're like, okay, she sacrificed herself. She's sick. I'm like, oh, something weird's gonna happen with her later. Oh, she's a part of the new organization. She's got the Black Legion. I'm like, oh great, she's my Virgil in this. How are we gonna get them to fight? She's gonna get mad in the final mission about clones and fight you in a bad rival fight.
Yes.
Yeah, that really sucked ass.
That sucked from a writing aspect. It sucked from a gameplay aspect. It sucked from a pacing aspect.
I asked and Dan didn't fucking answer me.
Okay.
How dare you, Dan?
Is anything in those files about why these fucking twins are special?
No. I thought the Max shit was going to be about that, but all Max brings up is like, we found them there, which is some shit you already know. I got sick, so Jin watched over them, which is some shit you already know. And 2 of the members of my force died, which happened 13 years ago, so it doesn't make sense for their legions to be yours, so I don't understand why that's important.
Dan, that wasn't
Given
even
the
about
dialogue
Legion.
that they
Even
occasionally
if it wasn't about the legions, then it's not important.
It's not. It's really literally just there to be like Max is already angry at the police force because it's all just grim dark. Like everyone's dying for no reason.
Bob, you're not in the writer's mindset enough. Those were names he gave. Ergo, they have to be important. He didn't just say, 2 of my teammates died. He specifically name drops teammates. So I think in the writer's head, without thinking it the fuck through, he's just like, yeah, that's where the legions come from. Sure, I'll let him think that. Without thinking about, oh yeah, that's a 13-year time gap. How the fuck could they not find 2 other people who could use legions in 13 fucking years? I mean, how weird is it that Alicia, Jin, and everyone else is on this team for something like 15 years or some shit? Like, it's like, you guys are really young. Have you been doing this since you were 16?
I guess, just the one thing that bothered, the one read I got for the reasoning behind your characters being so special is them saying, oh, they were born in the place they got super infected. And it's like, they have a perfect sync rate with these with these legions. Made me think that they have, like, the cells of chimeras in them, and it allows them to be able to do the stuff so easily.
It's supposed to imply that. That's just making
shit up.
Yeah, it implies that could be the case, but then it's not fucking brave enough to answer the fucking question. Like,
I was waiting the entire game for them to say, you are the first human chimera hybrids, and that's why you so easily can do all the cool shit.
They're not believing enough to do that.
I even would have taken like Yosef fucked with them when they were little kids because they were born after the
either or.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting, Phil. I was expecting something like that. It was going to be a twist that Yosef was your dad and he was experimenting on you. That's what I was expecting because it was Ava at the fucking beginning for some reason, and then it was Ava in the final fucking hour.
This is shooting off. In a game where so much is like, we'll try to be cool without making any sense. Your devil trigger still being the monster form, but blue is lame as shit.
The devil trigger thing coming in the last 10 seconds and just being the most, here's a scripted attack that feels awful. Here's this movement stuff that feels awful. You only have 2 attacks. And the fact the meter takes forever to build for that. Is nuts.
I did at least enjoy the fight where you use it for the first time because I had headphones so I could enjoy the vocal song. I'm like, all right, I like this section. I like some of the shots here.
Dark Hero
Akira isn't speaking. There's a lot of good things happening right now.
Dark Hero female version is a great song. Dark Hero male version is a fucking tragedy. And somehow Bob looked it up and informs me that dude's from a fucking, is it a Japanese boy band?
Yeah, Japanese boy band.
Holy fuck, he should know how to sing.
Yeah, he should. Auto-tune will work, I guess.
The lady they got to sing for the female version of the theme's really good at singing.
For those who don't know, if you pick the male character, when you get access to this game's Devil Trigger, which is you fusing with your Legion to be like a super monster, it will play a male version of a vocal track during the fight. If you're a female,
actually,
it'll play the female version.
The whole song's mildly different. It's weird, but the instruments are at different pitches.
Yeah, it definitely did have a different feel when weird. I looked at both versions. I would say either way, Dark Hero is the weakest of the 3 vocal tracks in the game.
I like the parts of Savior where the male guy doesn't sing.
Yeah. I like how Savior is like a pretty decent song, and yet they didn't play it during the final boss. Instead, they played some really generic, I'm chanting, this is a big monster, shit.
Well, yeah, because it's supposed to tie... what's up, Bob?
Before we move on from the transformation sequence...
Oh, yeah, sure.
I want to point out the part of that scene where Akira gets confronted by all the clones of herself.
Mm-hmm.
And then your main character T-poses while she gets owned.
Yeah.
That was really good.
And then it's like smash cutting from her being tragically stabbed to you looking bored.
Yes.
Like, it was really weird where the game constantly was just like, all right, she's your cool sidekick character. She isn't Average Legion anymore. All right, she's still gonna try though. She gets kidnapped after saying that she can handle things by herself. Okay, she got stabbed and sacrificed herself. Now she's got a Black Legion and she's super cool. Oh, she does all the off-screen backup stuff though, even though she's really strong. Oh, she got owned again. Oh, she got owned again.
Yeah.
It makes her a weaker character. Alicia barely does anything in this game, but is a much stronger character because she hasn't been shown to look weak in every cutscene.
This game is like 30 hours long, and yet its pacing feels fucked. Like, I could understand Akira's character arc being like, she's your sister and you're really close. Oh, your dad dies and she feels responsible because she lost her legion. Oh, she's mad at you because you have to keep saving her and she feels helpless. So she, like, throws in with the bad guy to feel strong and helpful again. But I just made that up. None of that is conveyed in the story except in the shittiest possible way.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, she also doesn't do anything once she gets her legion.
Yeah.
She kills a homunculus.
Saved you that one time. She saved you because
she kills a homunculus once.
Oh my god, that fucking cutscene where it's like, okay, I've almost defeated the boss. Now I will turn 180 degrees and stare at something else while the boss gets back up and hits me.
Yeah, it was very Lords of Shadow. This is like the Chuni version of Lords of Shadow.
I was like, this Legion looks cool. And then when the subtitles spoiled that it was Akira before it reveals it's her, I was like, oh god. No.
I like the part where she was all Matrixy. I mean, the subtitles are content. You know why? That's the only reason you know their names are the Seeker of Wealth, the Seeker of Power, the Seeker of Wisdom. Also, real quick,
okay,
this is gonna be
you're correct.
This is gonna be the last time I fucking talk about these chuckle fucks. But you read the text logs, and it's like the prophets.
You're talking
told
more about
them
them than the game did.
how the future is going to happen, and it guided Joseph towards building the ark. And then you get to the fucking cutscene where you get to see the Seekers, which are presumably the prophets, and they're like, Joseph, you're over budget. And I'm like, there's a real tone disconnect here between.
Yeah, they're two different entities.
We need to hit up all of the things from Ava.
It's so fucking nuts because in Ava, Sele was implied to be in parts of world governments, which makes sense because they're uniting to have an extra level of power against the fucking angels. That makes sense.
Yeah.
This is, we're people from past humanity. We're going to guide you. And in the text logs, it's like, okay, cool. Then you watch the cutscene with the Seekers, and it's like, what the fuck are you yelling at him about being over budget? What the fuck is
Yeah,
They
also,
want,
how
they
the
want
hell?
this game to have everything, both in its story and in
it
its
had the
gameplay.
same energy as like Pacific Rim, or the like, God damn it, Idris Elba, your organization that is the only thing keeping humanity from being destroyed is over budget. Like, how is budget involved in necessary to preserve the human race?
All right, you have brought up something important here. If this game had a scene equivalent of reset the clock, I would have shit my pants. That's the last thing they could add to make me just turn to dust.
And KZ saying this game needed to have everything makes me realize I was relating this game to, and Platinum games in general, to Wes Anderson films. When you watch them, you know certain things to expect. Like, okay, the framing's going to be perfectly symmetrical. You're going to get these wide angles really close to people's faces. Like, Wes Anderson has a discrete style with a lot of tropes that show up in all of his films. And Platinum Games feels like that. This is the golden corral of Platinum games.
Yeah.
Don't you fucking... Okay, yeah.
Because it's just like,
What's worse, the Golden Corral of Platinum games or the Kigassia of Platinum games? Because we've gone for both 7 out of 10.
But that's the thing. The potential of this game, the amazing soundtrack, all fight against the execution being so bad on so many fronts. And I did enjoy parts of this game. None of them were carrying boxes.
No,
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't even talked about that.
Can we pivot off the story? We can maybe come back to the story if
I
there's
don't
anything
want to
we
come
wanna bring
back.
up,
I
but
never want to come back.
Can we have a section of this spoiler cast right now talk about what happens when you do File 7, which is called Wild? It's the part where after you do the File 09, the Sector 09
Is this
thing, they're
the part
like, you're
with
in jail. You do a 45-minute set piece that's really cool of a homunculus attacking a city. You take it out. It's a pretty fun, the shortest file in the game. They follow it up with a fucking mini game chapter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. With the friggin'
This
slider
is a minor
puzzle.
thing, but like, it feels really weird that it feels like every member of Neuron was going to be much more fleshed out because they have a name, a unique design, and a fairly, like, they have inner character relations, and it just feels like, no, we don't have time or money for that. All of it's cut.
I mean, that's the thing, and that's the problem with this, and why I'm so critical of the writing of, like, every member of Neuron is pretty two-dimensional. Like, name Alan's characteristics outside of being your rival. Like, he likes Marie.
He wants
That's it.
to fuck Marie, which same.
Which, yeah,
But-
no
okay,
shit,
still.
dumbass.
Okay, so I didn't realize that that's who Alan was until you said, like, rival, and I'm like, oh, the guy you can fight in an optional blue case.
Wait a second.
The guy
you're-
whose name is
You're doing that thing where it's like Dr. Venture is like, I'm your, like the Monarch's like, I'm your arch, and Dr. Venture's like, I don't know that you're my arch. Like, you're doing one of
guy
those
whose name
moments
is
you beat the
Alan
game and you're like,
King.
Alan, you're not my rival. I don't have a rival.
his name might as well be Alan Rifle because it's just Alan King.
Yeah, I only remember in the one optional blue case that the first time I did the mission, I didn't find.
Also, you have to save him that one time. And then you can take a picture of him while he's all tied up from you saving him. And he's like, are you fucking blackmailing me? God damn it.
Yeah, no, that
All
was
right,
pretty funny.
this connects into that file, the minigame file. Because Alan challenges you to pick up,
More
clean
red
up the
matter.
corruption, the red matter stuff. That is one of the worst minigames in the entire thing. I just like to talk about.
Yeah.
You use the Beast Legion. You run around on it, and you collect the red matter. And every time you collect one, it adds to a multiplying score. So if you get a large chain, you're getting a really high score. To get S+, you need to get like 150,000 points, which means
really?
the multiplier needs to hit like 13 or 14 on the thing. And when you're controlling it, the Beast Legion controls like ass.
Yes.
I was
Yep,
thinking
every
about
game,
that.
yeah.
Everything in this game controls like
But
ass.
the Beast
No,
Legion
this
is
is the worst
literally
controlling thing in the entire game.
Yes.
Is that Beast Legion, because they give
Absolutely.
it to you and then they fill the area you get him with holes.
Now, the absolute worst part of this game's gameplay
well,
wise.
real quick,
The
real
part
quick,
where
real
I
quick.
was
We're
like,
not-
I'm gonna come to this.
Let me follow up on what KZ said, because I feel like it's necessary to know. So you're running around this area really fast on the Beast Legion because that's the way to go fast, bro.
Yeah.
And there are boxes everywhere, and if you clip a box, your fucking partner freezes you in place, goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And it subtracts duty points from you and freezes your timer, so you lose your combo. There are boxes everywhere.
This is the main point of why I wanted to bring it up, and why it's the worst minigame in the entire thing. Worse than the gyro ship, which I despise.
Right.
Because I went to S+ this, and you go through it, and you basically need to go on the same route. You don't want to divert, because the way you control the Beast Legion is it overdoes it on every movement you make. So correcting is really hard. So you're going through it, you're building up your route, because any slight divergence will take too long, and then you'll lose the chain, and you might as well start over.
Yeah.
You can run into any box, and then an NPC will say, "Hey, one of them I failed." The NPC said, "What are you doing?" This NPC was halfway across the screen and was walking in the opposite direction. Their back was to the fucking camera.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be real. I was being real petty by this point. If I wasn't Let's Playing it, I would have stopped playing.
Yeah,
I was
that's
so
fair.
We've
fucking
actually
repulsed.
received tweets and comments on Discord from people who maybe had too much of this game shit and actually checked out. And
I have two
I completely
Curious
understand.
Cat questions that said, "Thank you for your Let's Play. I quit. I need to see the story some other way." And I guess the Spoilercast tells you, no, you don't.
what's up? Bob?
I described this game when talking to Dan is the shonen anime I dropped 3 times.
Also, yes, it does have that energy. 100%.
I feel it has the energy of I'm sorry to the creator of Cannon Busters. I'm gonna insult you now.
No, that's fine. You don't need to apologize to that man.
It has the energy of, I don't know if you know about Cannon Busters. It's a thing on Netflix. The creator was like, it was a project he had on his DeviantArt, and it was literally just, I like anime. I'm gonna recreate the anime I like with no substance whatsoever.
Yeah.
That is how Astral Chain feels. But going off KZ yelling about the Beast Legion, the moment where I got the most angry, where I was like, I am going to come on this podcast and give this game a 4. I bounced back from that because it quit doing that to me. But when you get the Beast Legion, it's like, run across these platforms that vanish immediately, also do jumps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then they put the cubes. The cubes that go back and forth across them and push you off.
And I need to explain to people, an 18-wheeler has a tighter turning radius than the fucking Beast Legion.
Because here's how a turn works for it. It hops forward. It does a weird, unearthly rotation. Just the entire experience of using the Beast Legion for the first time is, we put it in the area filled with holes. So you're just falling. It's like, this is supposed to be your moment where you show, hey, you're controlling like this. You're riding a wolf, and it's really cool that you're a lot faster. But they don't account for that. Also, I thought every appearing platform in the game was a Beast Legion one, and I was like, why is this so fucking bad? I keep overextending. Then I realized, only some platforms disappear. Other ones that you make appear with the Legion hovering over it will stay for 10 seconds, so you can just run.
Yeah, they stay for a while.
Badly conveyed stuff.
I'm just going to throw this out. Red matter is one of the shittiest things in any game I've ever experienced.
Yes.
We need to revisit this in a second. Bob, say your thing, and then we could spend an hour talking about red matter.
Real quick, like literally everything else in this game, Beast Legion is just the same thing as Bayonetta when she turns into the cat, but feels worse in every possible way.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Because the cat in Bayonetta, the leopard mode, doesn't have a turning radius where the fulcrum is 17 feet to the left of you.
Yeah.
This game legit feels like it missed out on 6 months of polish.
I think Platinum needs a better tech team. Because when Bob mentioned
they need to fucking give up and use Unreal Engine 4.
I mean, that would be, I hate to say this, but that would probably be ideal.
Yeah, because their engine's just so bad.
With this game in particular, I can't really get too hard on them when they said, hey, we've been developing this before we started working on Nier Automata. I'm like, well, I can tell why a lot of these things feel really weird. Because when something's in development for long enough, some stuff can happen. Where certain things feel undercooked, or certain things feel like they got cut down a lot because you were working on it for too long.
People were quoting that like, wow, no wonder it has so much content and has more stuff than a normal Platinum game. Thinking about it, my take is like, wow, no wonder it feels like development was fucked and they couldn't decide on a single form of gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, this game is really
I feel
aimless.
like it was a mix. It's a mix of good, where it's like, there's a lot of stuff here, but there's also a mix of bad in that some parts are bad.
Yeah, parts really drove me nuts, but it would always give me a fight that ultimately I was like, oh, that was pretty fun, and I felt I did some cool things and felt cool doing it. By the way, it's bullshit that every single Legion has so many shared skills.
Yeah, that's complete miserable.
We haven't even touched on that. Yeah, so the skill tree in this game you get by using the codes. I think it's 3 of the 5 skills you get are identical for every Legion, and the unique ones are the highest tier. The one that makes you faster, the one that makes you stronger, and auto bind. I feel like every single every single Legion gets auto bind and hit rush. Bob, is it time to explain hit rush? Because there is no way these two figured it out.
Sure.
I didn't use hit rush a single time.
Do you know why hit rush exists?
Hit rush would be the skill where you shatter the chain and then they start hitting, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know why it's in the game?
Why?
Bob, tell them what you found out.
Hit rush, you use that, then you can switch to a different Legion and have 2 Legions out at once, technically.
Oh my
So
god!
they'll do
Oh
the
my
hit
god!
rush.
I was halfway to figuring it out. I was halfway there. Where I think there might be a part in my Let's Play where I go, I wonder if you can like switch to a second Legion while you're doing the hit rush. And then I went, all right, I'll do it in the next fight. And because I'm Let's Playing, I'm shitting and farting, so I immediately forget what I say 2 minutes afterward.
Yeah, no, I found that out after beating the game. It doesn't help that much because that rush is still a bad move.
It's
but
really weak, and that
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's like, I just gave up my control of this Legion. You should be doing decent damage value. I feel like every fucking thing that is a compromise to your safety does not do enough damage to justify the opportunity cost. So at the end of the day,
you
I
feel
just
really
fucking
weak
fuse
in
with
this-
the Arm Legion and Aura everything in the fucking game.
Did anybody extensively use the Axe Legion? Because I feel like the Axe Legion sucks so bad when it's implied to be like the strongest, coolest one.
It is implied
Yeah,
to be the
I thought it
strongest,
was pretty
coolest one.
lame, but I didn't use it enough.
It has a really good move, the blue shield, because that gives you it just soaks 3 hits.
And then
Yeah,
you
it
have
gives
the
you the
parry.
orbital crystals.
And then you have the sphere as well, which will eat all projectiles. And let me tell you, you do those combat trial cases in File 12. So many of the game has 2 ways of making difficult encounters. One is, and this is no hyperbole, this is real. Here are 3 mid-tier enemies, mid-higher tier enemies, and then 3 enemies that are one's in the ground, one's in the air, and one's fused with a line, making them invincible. So you have to switch between the 3 legions and quickly do their powers to disable their invincibility, and then it spawns more invincible bastards. And this is just one wave. So that's one way of making it difficult. The other way of making it difficult, here are 2 boss tier legions, boss tier chimeras. They're really high end. They have giant health bars. They both just spam shit at you. So you need to find a way to hit stun these bastards. Otherwise, they're just going to spam you with shit. The Axe Legion is good for those because the weird spherical thing around the Axe Legion will eat projectiles. So the tornado that you have no smart way of dodging or disabling, you're just supposed to pull out the Axe Legion and have it eat the tornado.
Oh.
Also, I'm not sure if this is a pure Platinum exclusive mechanic, because those combat trials can engage different levels of difficulty if they want. Like, you don't get to bring items into them. They tell you what items you get for each one, and they also change the difficulty for each one. In fights in those combat trials, my Legion would get hit and I would take damage. What the fuck? Is that a pure...
This just sounds like here's a bunch of trials for...
Yeah.
Here's more content.
Yeah.
It's bad, though.
Yeah, the ultimate mode I think does that because I experienced that when I just tried to play through ultimate mode. It's terrible. It's like, why would you do this? You're already punishing me by making me basically immobile if this thing dies.
Right.
Why also hurt me?
Right.
Like, it's already enough.
The
punishment.
Legion also just... The Legions... I never felt like I had real control over the Legion.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about how bad the Legion felt to use. Like, you have the ability to send it out with the L2 button, but the L2 button's also what brings it back. So you can't, like, send it out to do an attack, because if you hit it again, you're going to do the special move, because they have special moves on the L2 by doing, like, do a circle movement, or do back forward and then hit L2, and they'll do a special move. But typically, that just won't work, and they'll just come back to you and stand next to you.
I just want to target a guy, hit the button for the Legion to come out, and have the Legion stay on them, hitting them.
Yeah, I was thinking of it like, just give me a button that sends them out to attack stuff, give me a button that brings it back, or give me a separate button that is the attack button for the Legion. Do something. This is not workable. And then
It's like, comparing this game to Devil May Cry 5 might be the most unfair comparison in the history of humanity. But it's just like... V is 1/3 of this game, and controlling the familiars feels 1,000,000 times better than controlling the legions.
Yeah, which is crazy because I didn't even feel like controlling the familiars is V was that great, but it is worlds better than this.
Here's another gameplay thing. This pissed me off, but I just remembered it. They give you the Axe Legion, and in whatever case gives you the Axe Legion,
Right?
like 8 or 9, I forget. Then the next case, maybe the same case, has you fight yet another fucking homunculus.
Yeah,
That shoots a big beam that seems like you can't avoid it. So my brain goes, obviously I can block the beam with the sword with the Axe Legion's guard, because they gave me the Axe Legion almost not very long ago. This boss does a big sweeping beam. Makes sense. No, you're supposed to hide in a corner behind a rock.
Wow. Yeah. I just figured it was another thing in this game where, no, you just take damage now. Why would you not take damage from this? You have a heal button.
You know, like, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is not like a 10 out of 10, but that game had that. I don't remember any part in that game where it's just like, no, you just have to take damage.
Yeah, no, Metal Gear Rising is amazing compared to this game. Every boss was way more thought out. There was
you think about a lot of the attacks you contend with in this game, and there's like you know, the enemies that do the spin, like the long weapon, where they'll like just start spinning.
They start spinning at you, and you have no way to deal with it.
They'll spin it for like 7 seconds, and you'll dodge the first one. And if you try to do a sync attack that they reward you for dodging it, it doesn't hit them out of it. And I don't think I ever avoided taking damage even when I got the first dodge in on a spin, because they don't give you enough of a window to dodge every hit on it.
What enemy is this? Is it the big like gorilla guys that spin?
It's dudes
I
have
also
like
think
big
it's like when you're
axes or
fighting
swords.
Yeah, it's anyone that looks kind of like the Axe Legion. You know, they have a really big sword.
okay.
So the highest level one is kind of in samurai armor and has a giant fighter sword.
Yeah. I thought those guys were pretty raw. That's another thing. This is another point where like it's part of like, wow, what a waste in this game. All the enemy designs are fantastic.
Something bugged me about the enemy designs the whole game, and then I realized today, oh yeah, these would all fit in Gungrave. What? All Gungrave enemies have the same design. They're all white monsters that are mutated from humans to something else and have like a weird, very similar look.
Yeah, I think this game in general, even though it throws a bunch of different gameplay like mechanics at you, like the whole carrying boxes and slider puzzles and, you know, the detectiving, it actually does suffer from a large amount of variety when it comes to environments or action gameplay. I feel like there's...
You mentioned the anime thing earlier, where this feels like a shonen anime you dropped 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It made me just think, man, if this was an anime, this would have been a podcast goal of some sort.
Oh, yeah.
Because it would have that kind of reputation that we would want to make content on it.
And
I want to talk about that fucking box pushing minigame. What a fucking shit show.
yeah, the one where you need to move the cars, or the one where you're carrying boxes?
The car moving one.
Okay, yeah.
Why did, like, somebody at Platinum thought they were fucking brilliant for being like, oh, we'll stick you inside it and make you use the Axe Legion instead of just making it like a mini game framed as you moving the cars with the Arm Legion?
Because they wanted you to have to manage your space and your Legion space within the slider puzzle, which honestly, on the day I did that, I did not have a great amount of sleep. So I sat there and I'm like, I usually enjoy slider puzzles. Like Bob knows, I have a reputation for finding them pretty fun. I lost my mind in the third one. The first 2 were such cheesecake. I got them like almost instantly on my first try. But the moment where it's like, here's a really hard one, and unlike every other slider puzzle in existence, you have to manage where you and your Legion stand. And I just shitted and farted.
I made a tweet about it, of just my despair, and I got it 10 minutes later. I sent that tweet after an hour of doing that third one.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
It's bad.
I just gave up. I sat there for 30 minutes and couldn't make progress.
I was desperate to get those like
no.
premium code things, and I didn't know how to get some of those.
No reward would have been worth doing that to me.
You're correct. Also, I didn't mention this earlier, as I was equally critical as KZ of that Beast Legion minigame where you're running around getting the red shift. By the way, same mission.
It's a great mission.
Yeah, it's a great mission. I got an S+ on my second try on that, and I think I got an A or an S on my first try. That doesn't make it good. And that's something that really bugs me. I feel like this game...
I spent over a half hour, and I was just getting so fucking angry.
I feel like this game's doing relatively well with reviewers. Like, I haven't looked up numbers, but I assume it is because...
I mean, I want it to do well so that the sequel can be a lot better than what we have.
here's the thing. I have that feeling too, KZ, but it needs to be on more powerful hardware, or Platinum needs to switch engines, because this game can't run. Like, it just...
Yeah.
It's chugging, trying to do the scope of what they want to, and it's a shame, because if they made their levels more linear and they cut it up more, I don't understand why
the frame rate is the least of my prevailing main problems with the game. It is a problem, one that I would like to get fixed, but when I think about the problems that really drive me up a wall, it's gameplay things, why they decided the Beast Legion works like that, why they decided the platforming needs to do that.
But here's the thing, like, if you took this same game and made it run at 60, all of that would actually feel better. It wouldn't be perfect, but all of it would feel better.
You'd have a little bit more control. You feel like you'd have more...
The Legion would get the signal to fucking start turning sooner. The Legion that you're using, the platforming...
It would be a much better Band-Aid for the problems that exist within these different gameplay styles.
It would be one less layer of shit cake.
Yeah, we started talking about earlier about how the dodging, like when you were dodging that that spinning attack, dodging in this game is insane. Like, it seems like either
it's so bad.
Yeah, it won't give you invincibility frames for half of it, or if it does and you try and do a counterattack, you'll just take damage anyway. It's like, what is this?
I've really enjoyed, this is the only game where I've had a conversation with friend of the channel, Bird. Sorry to out you like that, Bird. Anyways, he's like, friend of the channel, what the fuck? I didn't sign up for this. Anyways, where I'm playing...
Gay boys.
I streamed the beginning of the game, and he was like, I'm like trying to dodge to evade a lot of attacks, and he's like, nah, your best evasive option at this point is to just run. And I was like, what?
I started figuring that out like really early too, where I'm like, every dodge I'm trying to do is fucking failing. If they're starting up a winding thing of projectiles, or I see them ramping up, I'm like, fuck it, just sprint left.
And then the sprinting's like hard to actually get to activate, because that's another thing that's like got a huge build startup.
Click the stick.
Yeah, click the stick also doesn't feel great for something like that. In every other Platinum game, you just hold the dodge button and then you start running afterwards. Well, not this one.
In this one, I related this to early Uncharted a lot, where, they're trying to do really advanced animation blending, but it's really rough, relative to modern standard. The beginning of your movement animation is like countless frames of you leaning forward, to the point of, if you tap forward and let go, you'll go nowhere. Like, it's such a huge ramp up to even begin to move in an action game.
Action!
Also, the gun sucks.
Yeah.
Back to the mini game thing for a second. Did you guys notice that the directions for all those gyro control mini games fucking lie to you?
Yeah, one thing, you can use the right analog stick as well.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can.
What?
You can use the right analog stick, but it implies you can somehow turn off the motion controls, which you cannot.
Well, that's for people who have a controller that doesn't have motion controls. Like, they make controllers like that.
I should have plugged in my GameCube controller.
Yeah.
So if you have a fucking third-party controller, how about you just give me the option to turn? But okay, even I can handle being forced to use motion controls. They also don't turn off the right stick if you're using motion controls.
How insane is it that they made a co-op mode, which seems like the dopest shit in the world, but you can only do it with Joy-Cons?
Yeah, we didn't
Did you guys try that?
No.
You didn't even try it.
No, but I've heard other people talk about it. The craziest part, which makes sense when you think about it, is the only way it could work. So one Joy-Con's the player, right? The other Joy-Con is the Legion, but also the camera.
Oh no.
This is like the people that do challenges of, hey, you're going to play through GoldenEye, but one of you controls movement, the other one controls the aiming.
This game, man. And that's the thing.
7 out of 10.
It had so much potential, you guys. You guys need to understand, like, I love the soundtrack. This is one of my favorite soundtracks since Resogun. It's not as good as Devil May Cry 5 soundtrack, but it's really fucking good. I would say it's the next closest thing but not quite as good as Resogun. It has a really good mix of hard rock sound, a Hans Zimmer movie soundtrack, with the orchestral stuff that really gets your epic feeling going on, and also a bit of like Tron Legacy in there. It's got a really great fucking sound to the soundtrack, but fuck the guy who sings, he's so bad at it. And that can't save this game. Like, cool aesthetics can't save this game. The part where you do the Zundots and you rip the core out of enemy Chimera is so fucking cool. There are so many fucking cool things in this game that is just littered with terrible executions of everything from the plot to the movement to the platforming to the cutting technique.
Don't you like how the if you do that on Zots, you just fully heal?
Yes.
Yeah, thank God.
Dude, yes. You know why? Because it immediately let me know this game is cheesecake, so reviewers will like it. That's how I feel about this game. It gives you 9 temp potions to let you know.
I ran into a problem with mine where I didn't buy healing items too often because there was never really a need.
Yeah, no.
I was stocked up on a good amount of healing stuff, but I came upon the surprise Two-Phase Jenna Anderson fight. Got to the second one. They throw a few enemies that you have to fight before you fight her super big form. And they don't have cores that you can rip out to get free heals.
Yes.
And I realized that I was just straight up trapped and I had to do the whole file over because I didn't have enough healing ready.
Yeah,
I didn't have to buy healing until the very end of the game.
And then after that point, I went, okay, I'll buy fucking every battery refill and 9 of every healing item just because I don't ever want to repeat content to redo it. Because that effectively meant that it didn't save my ranks for my first attempt.
When you do the Zandatsu, and like you yank the chain and it flashes blue, does hitting the Legion button do something?
I think that damages the enemies around you, but I'm really not sure.
Because like I was like, does it give me more experience? Does it make them more likely to drop an item?
But yeah, after I've done that,
because I did it,
times,
but I never noticed any like practical difference between doing it versus not doing it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it just damages nearby enemies.
Yeah, aside from just cutting lines and a well-timed counter that you'd never do.
But then that's weird artificial difficulty that KZ ran into of, yeah, these enemies are technically really cheesecake easy, but they don't give you heals. It's like, what are you doing? Why do you think that's a good way to challenge you?
Slight, because I had no batteries at the time and I only had like 1 healing item left at the time. Because I'm like, was not expecting another fight to pop up.
The battery system is
It gave me flashbacks to Sekiro has a similar thing toward the very end where they're like, we're going to make you fight something that isn't technically hard, but it bolsters the actual real fight. Also, the fact that she, in her boss fight, she is attacking you while you're fighting the regular enemies. So I'm just getting hit in the back by projectiles.
Yeah, it never feels good.
Yeah, it did not. Was not great.
What was I going to say about that? I can't remember.
While you think about what you were going to say about that short tangent, the reason I gave this game a 7 out of 10 is like I feel like people should try it because I think being a unique game is an important aspect, and that you through uniqueness and novelty and execution of that one thing can overcome polish, like a lack of polish. Unfortunately, this doesn't overcome its lack of polish, so it still ranks as a pretty mid game,
Yeah,
it's just unfortunate.
Like, there's nothing quite like it was controlling it, the Legion. Like, that's a really interesting mechanic. It just is done terribly. Like,
Right.
I wanted to see this done well since Chaos Legion, and it's just bad in its own way.
Yeah.
God, what if Chaos Legion's better? Oh, no.
It is a game where I have many problems with. A lot of them end up being certain sections of it and entire missions, like the minigame one. But thankfully, a lot of that stuff you end up getting like a really good rank on or lucking out. Maybe there's a fight you really hate, but it's like, because the ranking system, it doesn't care about you taking damage or even dying. It cares about you doing as many different things on the enemy as possible. You can get an S+. It means I don't have to do it again.
Yeah, the scoring system being broken and sucks shit. Like, every encounter becomes, hey, you should chain them, do a couple sync attacks, switch to your archer, do the L trigger to do a headshot. You should do all these things.
I liked it until I reached the file 3, which by this point I was in file 8. I went back to file 3 to finally S+ it, and they said, try out the blaster on these enemies, because there's a dude who's like, you got the Gladius, now do it course with each weapon. I couldn't get S+ on the blaster because it's just, there's not enough stuff to do with it until I finally lucked out and was able to chain an enemy in the air. Because I never figured out how to do that.
It's really dumb. You should you use the ZL button to send your Legion at them and then hold it and then loop it around them real fast before it falls back to the ground.
God, you can do that? I didn't even know.
You can do that.
I didn't even know you could do that.
I did that once.
I even mentioned it, where sometimes it felt reminiscent to something like a Heavy Rain quick time event, where you're moving and hitting things in such a weird fucking way that doesn't make sense, that most of the challenge comes in executing on it.
Yeah, it got some serious PS2 action or generic action game vibes. Like I was thinking about Bujingai earlier.
Bob, I'm not saying
I can
this
always count on Bob for this.
I'm not saying this to be outrageous, Bob.
Bujin guy.
Bujin
I mean, it felt
might
more
be
like
better.
Nanobreaker to me.
Yeah, Bujingai and
was-
Nanobreaker might be better games.
See,
No,
Phil,
not Bujin Guy.
Phil, I was sitting here and I was thinking about Nanobreaker, right? I was thinking about that compared to this game because, you know, there are a lot of similarities, like a plot that's fucking stupid.
Jack is a much better character than Akira, though.
I mean, yeah, he gets that iconic trailer
What
line
about
of
Daxter?
"Long time no see, Jack," and then it plays a sick guitar riff.
Do you think that, like, part of why the protagonist isn't a character is, like, somebody either at Platinum or Nintendo is like, obviously you can't customize their appearance and them be a character?
No, I think it's 100% two things. One, that would require characterization of the main character that's good, and I'm sure the writer just completely fucking failed at that. And two, it saves them money on not having to record literally twice as much VO.
I just remembered the one thing I want to say about the VO.
Because they cut out and they intended to have a dialogue tree system?
It could be that. I mean, here's the fucking fucked up thing, real quick. They have dialogue choices the whole game that mean nothing. Did you guys know that it actually affects the ending?
Yes.
What?
At the very end, because I actually wanted to talk about this earlier, I completely forgot. At the very end of the game, you beat the final boss. Akira appears out of the dude's like tummy and says, "Come on, I'll hold them back." And you have the choice
Let me sacrifice myself one more time, please. I haven't done this enough.
One more time.
This is going to be my 8th death in the game. Let me do this. And your choices are, okay,
all right,
I don't know
I
about
can't.
this. And if you choose, I don't know about this, or whatever it is, like you don't, your Arrow Legion comes out and shoots it while you beg it not to. If you choose it, your Dad Axe Legion comes out and does a really dramatic setup, and then you kill her.
That's so fucking stupid.
Yes,
Yeah.
There is a completely different scene. One where it happens, the other time it happens, but you're really upset about it.
Something that's important we need to stress about the Arrow version of this, because the funny thing is I selected all right. Bob selected I can't.
I hit it immediately because I don't like her.
I hit.
But
Okay, here's
real quick. Let me talk about this. The Arrow Legion, when it shoots her, you know, we use the Arrow Legion the whole game. The Arrow Legion does not have a powerful arrow attack.
I never used the Arrow Legion a single fucking time. It stayed at level 1.
So
Only for big brands.
In this cutscene, the Arrow Legion pops up, pulls back an arrow, and then it just starts making like a charge up Mega Man Buster sound. It's like, but there's no cool effect. There's no energy flying into it. It's just making that sound with an arrow pulled back.
Well, the arrow
And
also
you're
looks like
no,
Lance of
please
Longinus
don't
now,
do
Dan.
it.
yeah, I did.
From Ava.
I did notice that it looked like the Lance of Longinus or the Longinus spear or whatever.
Did it? Oh, my
Yes, it looked exactly like that. I'm like, it didn't look like the Lance of Longinus the whole game, right?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just for that scene so they could have that.
I'm gonna go ahead and post a picture of the Lance of Longinus in the Discord so that way people can look at it. Because Crazy has
Yeah, I mean, I know what that looks like.
yeah.
I just can't believe that. So I immediately picked okay, I can do it because I was terrified that it would be some weird non-canon bad ending and I'd have to do that boss fight again.
Yeah, that boss fight is miserable, but
I was worried Bob was going to have to do it again when he chose that. I was like, oh no, it's just going to be like, if you can't kill me, now the world is doomed. Because this game's storytelling is so bad that they would think that was sick and raw.
Let me tell you,
the story doesn't have the guts to do that. The story doesn't have the guts to do anything.
Bob called them on their bluff. Bob was like, do it, cowards.
I had a very big concern with this game in terms of ending shit. Because by the time when I was finishing it, right, and I beat the game, I was like, I'm so burned out because, you know, I was doing the videos of it. And then, you know, I saw that they had another file. I'm like, oh, it's extra stuff. But because this game has a cut to credits moment that made me fucking laugh when it cut to credits of right as she's about to get hit.
That's
I'm like,
so stupid.
Oh God.
Why did it do that?
What if they make you do all of file 12 to get some true big dick ending with extra story? And I went, I don't want to do that at all. I'm just going to pretend the game ends there. Fuck my viewers. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I have to wonder if there is a secret ending if you get that secret boss, because this is the only Platinum
maybe you
game.
end up in Versus 13.
This is the only Platinum game with a credit sequence that's just completely normal and has nothing afterwards.
I'm assuming,
it
it shows all of the pictures you've taken, but I took no pictures besides the tutorial one.
Bob took a bunch of pictures because the game incentivizes you taking pictures of chimeras, and he's like, these pictures all suck. And he was right. I was looking at them. His pictures suck. Meanwhile, I'm getting horror pictures I've shot of Lappy's corpse lying in the corner next to Marie. I'm getting the picture of Alan tied up and it's perfectly framed with the composition and shit. I'm like, this is delightful.
And this is why you have almost 50 hours.
I tried to do everything on my first playthrough, and maybe that's part of why I just
it's funny that I saw during the the second to last chapter or file, I saw the menu persons of interest 0. I'm like, what's this?
I actually didn't take any pictures of the Chimera. I took pictures of as many teammates as I could, and I still was nowhere near done. Ugh. Yeah, no, I
think one of the worst parts.
Yeah, I proudly picked the first choice in the ending because she sucks. She's so bad. I'd rather a character that does nothing than her or him if you pick the girl character.
Right, your sibling, yeah.
The actually,
it's like I didn't know we could find a way to top my wrist this year, but somehow we managed to do it by having a character go, "Hi, my role's to shitted and farted all over the game."
I would like to make a joke about how video games are bad to women, but this is more of bad to thinking.
If you pick the girl, then you're real competent, and the boy's the one that's like that. So obviously, it isn't specifically to women. It's just bad, right?
It would be really funny if you switched, like you chose. Speaking of which, I did that at one point. You can change.
Super Chad.
You can change your gender mid playthrough. I changed to the chick. And my brother had like a dumb voice, and I was like, oh man, I was really hoping that he would just have a total dipshit Kuwabara voice to make that character make sense.
I've got the Legiones.
Do it! Shoot me! I got this! It's fucking...
by the way, the fact that the male Akira has a voice, but if he plays the male character, you only hear it during the epilogue post-credit scenes, so you have no idea who's talking for a good bit.
Yeah,
like,
I figured that's what it was, but I was like, no, that's way too stupid.
I spent half a sentence being like, who is this? And by the end of that first sentence, I'm like, this is me. Fuck you.
No, it made no sense. So I was talking about how it was a stinger reveal that it was you talking at the end. I was like, how is that even supposed to be the case?
It's like if Dio said, you didn't know who it was, but it was me. Like, no, that's not brilliant.
they had to reveal the narrator.
I know.
Can we shit talk Red Matter now?
Show, it's Kino.
Sorry, what was your question, Phil?
Can we shit talk Red Matter now?
But one thing before that, What?
Okay.
Why
So
does the Archer Legion come out and shoot her to death? What's the Archer Legion?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing.
The Axe
They
Legion is your
don't
dad.
know.
The
They
Arrow
haven't come
Legion-
up with anything related to this game at all. They have no actual answers to anything. You're supposed to go, oh, because my sister had it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. Like maybe maybe that's your actual sister's Archer Legion.
Man, my sister
Never
had that
mind.
iPhone for an evening.
Right?
That is the sister's Archer Legion because
For
hers
one
got
day,
stolen,
yeah.
and you always get those same ones back.
Yeah, for one day. And why would it? Like, these things are implied to be, they broke out and were going to kill all of you. It's not like there was implied to be a bond.
Right.
Except when your dad fused with one in the upcoming DLC.
Yeah.
Which
Have
takes
they
place.
said anything about DLC for this
I
game?
hope not. No.
No, but I'm
no
calling
word.
my shot. I'm calling my
No, Nintendo
Mr.
wouldn't.
Feel-esque gamer premonition.
Nintendo wouldn't. That seems insane. Okay,
Yeah.
who wants to talk about what Phil wants to talking about? Taking a tiny spoon and whittling all of the paint off of a fucking boat. That's what this shit
It's
feels
so
like.
bad.
I think the best way to convey how terrible it is in file number 8, in which you are meant to do a bunch of minigames, and they're like, clean them all.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to run through a list before, because I imagine the red matter will be the last big gameplay bitching. I want to run through a list of things I noticed playing.
Can we
this game.
talk about red matter? Also, can we do a list before we talk about the red
I know.
matter?
I recalled things. I'm sorry. One, there's a couple side cases in this where they give you a picture and tell you to find the location in that picture.
Yeah.
I hope you have a good.
What is?
I hope you have a good fucking memory, because there's no way to look at those pictures again.
Yeah, they show you a picture of. No, yeah, I beat this mission last night.
You're blowing Bob's mind.
So what it is the first
I
picture.
succeeded in one of them.
Mm-hmm. So the first picture is on the street level. You have to go find a table and angle the camera up towards a building. You take that picture, and then Shizu runs up and she's like, great, this is the first image. Okay, go find this next spot. And then you have to completely leave that area, go to another place, take another picture. But she's now moved, and you're not, like, it's now like, where would I have to go to see that? So I was just praying that I remembered it well enough. And I did. And then she's like,
I never did that.
oh yeah, no, she does
The
it
first
3
one I
times.
did was like a dipshit tourist, and he's like, hey, there's one earlier in the game where he's like, can you show me where this place is? And it's just like a burger place nearby.
I think
yeah.
That one was brain dead easy, because he's like, I've been running around here for hours. Like, dude, go down the stairs.
Yeah.
That one's easy, but then they do another one where it's like, I can't do it because I forgot that picture. I assumed I'd have some way to see it again. Also, this game has a real problem of tying into the red matter thing, because we're about to go into that. Okay, I guess this is the way I go for side content. Oh, fuck, that was progression. I can't go back. I missed everything there.
Well,
I
actually,
took one step too far.
There's an even worse problem of the game does this. It's like, okay, I'm the plot right now. It's like, go, hurry! Oh my god, your sister's gonna fucking die! Psych, you didn't get the red matter behind you, idiot.
There was a supply drop. Oh, and a gate you could seal.
That was like 37 premium codes you got, because when a cutscene ended and things were exploding and you were told to run forward, you didn't spin the camera around.
I love Banjo.
You gotta be a little smarter about it. Before we talk about the the red matter, I did remember the one unique thing of bluish red cases with the one super Chad cop guy. Who overacts in every single dialogue
Oh, Carlos.
scene.
You're talking about Carlos, the one who doesn't
Carlos.
work at Neuron, but he is a policeman.
But he's trying to find out about them.
Yes.
Oh, I love the non-resolution of that story.
Even better.
Yes.
Even better. Keep in mind, this is important. The event where someone he arrests dies in a police vehicle on the way back to HQ happens right after the Seekers arrive in the story. It seems like it's going to be related to the Seekers of Wisdom, Seekers of Power, and Seekers of Wealth. And then it's just like, it's a mob boss.
No,
That was my favorite, one of my favorite scenes in the whole game, because he goes, that dude was mentioning them, and well, who could these people be?
Who are
hey, it's
they?
been reported that car carrying the dude just died. Could that have been them? It's like, dude, it's been 10 seconds. Come on.
And then, like, the conclusion of that arc happens all the way in file 10. No, the beginning of file 11, isn't it? The beginning of file 11.
10. It's because file 11, you're going into the final base. So it's like file 10, they're like, do a bunch of side quests until the main thing you have to do starts.
Both file 10 and file 11 start at Hal's weird headquarters. So it's either... yeah. They do that twice.
I went straight into the ARI as soon as...
yeah. So
as soon as that file started. But I did his thing, which was fighting a mob boss, and then the mob boss gets thrown into a gate. And then you get the choice to leave him in there.
Yeah, you get the choice to leave him in the astral plane.
Which I did not.
I didn't either. Shoulda.
He's like, thanks for helping me solve the case. And he tries to convince me to return to the Force.
What
Wait, was there something in the... Did you just say there was something in the last file? Because I did not do any of the side stuff in the last file. I was like, I need to get this fucking done.
Yeah, there's side stuff in the last file. It makes you re-explore the same area around Hal's HQ.
Was there more Carlos shit?
I don't remember. I'm gonna be
that one we just talked about was the last one, as far as I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because in file 10 you do one where you have to fight like some gangsters, and then one of their leader gets pulled into the plane, and then you can leave them in there.
Here's another fucking dog shit thing. How come it's like, use your chain to tie up a civilian and calm them down if they start shit? How come some normal people that doesn't work on, you have to beat them up?
I don't know. They can't decide. That, like everything in this game, they can't decide.
It's really inconsistent, almost like a certain game that is shadowy and lordly. Real quick note, and this is really...
Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers for the PS2.
Correct.
Like Final Fantasy X.
Real quick note, because this, I don't think this should affect my review of the game, but if it did, I'd literally dock at 1 point because it's so close to being a 6. That box art sucks shit. It's drawn so poorly. The shading looks as bad as it does in game. I do not like the box art. It just...
I think it's okay. Well, but I do prefer like the special edition one where it's like a split where it's male Akira, but half of it is blue, half of it's red.
Okay, so
I've never even seen the box art because
well, that's what the inside cover looks like. The inside cover's okay. It's not great, but it's okay.
The cover art is what you see in the game icon. It's just them posing.
Yeah,
it's
it's
the one where the Astral Chain logo covers her butt.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that box art that really bugs me about it. Not only does the line work and everything look kind of awful, but the upper left and upper right parts of the screen are just in-game screenshots. They're not drawn at all. So it's like they went, we have this art of them standing in front of the Legion. What's the background? Take some environment pictures and just paste it there. Oh, okay.
Oh, here's my nitpicking. It's nitpicking hour, so here's a nitpick. Fallout 3, released in 2008.
I'm so done.
Go ahead.
A major character is your dad.
Okay.
It alters his appearance based on the race you decide your character is, yet it does not alter Akira's hair color or skin color based on the ones you pick, despite you being twins.
I think somebody was saying during the E3 interview that it affects your skin color, but not your hair or eye color.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
As someone who's watching a Let's Play where the person made their character black, it did it for the sister, but it also went like even darker.
Yeah, the color.
It went lighter than I went, so I was like, did it change at all?
I think that just color values in this are really fucking wrong. Like when you go to the custom color stuff, you select a color and then the color that your outfit becomes is vaguely related.
Yeah,
that's why I'm glad that I guess because of the things I did early enough in like file 3, I had access to RGB values where I could go, okay, let me make the color look correct.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I've done that. I've messed with the whole thing, and then I changed one thing, and it undid all of that after I saved it and everything. Like that whole system isn't done.
Yeah,
like,
I don't.
It's
so
weird because there are
glitchy.
three choosable colors so often, and to select one, you have to obviously hit A when you're done. But that rips you out of that menu. So you have to then go back in to adjust the second color instead of allowing you a way to select all three and then hit an additional button to get out.
I literally I did all that setup stuff. Then I backed out of the color menu entirely. Was saved on that color. Was all set up. I put on a different hat and it switched me back to my old color set.
Bob, I know that sounds really tragic. The game retconned me being a girl at some point. I don't even know why. Like, I was just playing a bunch of levels in a row, and then it went, "You're a boy again," and I went, "Wait, what?
What? What?"
Yeah, I don't know what caused it. I didn't use the load functionality at all. Speaking of which, the reason why naming levels file sucks is because the level select is listed as file options, which any rational being would be like, "Oh, file options, like, save management. Gotcha." No, that's the level select, you dummy. Yeah.
Also, the fact that you access it. This is a nitpick, 100%. The way you access your files to replay them is you have to get to a playable section in your current file to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Made it a bit more annoying for me because I wanted to have decent places to stop and then maybe not jump into the next level and then play old levels, and that's just impossible.
Each
it becomes
huge.
the thing as I recorded it was, all right, I beat file 3. I want to go and do it again, but for recording this, I need to do the start of file 4, and then I need to go, and then off screen, I'll do file 3 again because I wanted to do it, and then I have to skip my way through the intro 4 again to start again.
Yes. It's awful.
Yeah.
You know what else is awful?
Also meant doing any intro shit in file 3 again for S Plus meant the tutorials happen again.
Yep.
You know what also is awful? The fact that they decide, the first 2 files, the combat will just be bad.
Yeah.
That's why I made a tweet saying I may have to lower from PT standard to PT casual because the combat was so bad and the game kept giving me such low ranks that I just felt like I was playing it badly.
Yeah,
but then they said, "Here's sync attacks. Here's this. Here's that." I'm like, it was all like, this is the payoff, is that the combat wasn't fleshed out at this point. And then I just started getting S pluses everywhere, and I went, okay.
It's fleshed out, but it's still bad.
No, I still enjoyed the combat. I had problems with some stuff, like dodging a lot of things, the unblockable stuff, and like,
well, like
anytime
the Sword Legion summon swords would sure be a lot more helpful if I could even remotely control where he went.
I just love Casey sitting here. He's like, I love the platforming. I just have problems with running and jumping.
No, I like the moment to moment combat. There's just specific moments and situations that came out where I went, I don't like this. But I did plenty of gameplay where I'm like, I like the flow of normal combat, doing sync attacks, doing all of this stuff.
Anytime the game asks you to engage with it on a deeper level, it just falls completely apart. Like anytime it won't challenge you, it's just really bad.
When the game tries to make itself hard, I don't think it's particularly amazing in any way.
And I think it's got like the worst replay value I've seen in any Platinum game. Like, I don't want to play any of these missions ever again because they're mostly trash. They're mostly like random side cases that are awful.
It reads as a bunch of like Western AAA game filler where it's tons of walk and talk. It's tons of, I'm going to help this. We haven't even mentioned this once. This game like 3 or 4 times makes you carry a dude slowly to a drone lifted bed. And it's like, guys,
what are you telling
it's
me?
On
you
a
don't
drone.
Like the subway mission?
Guys, it's on a drone. Fly the drone closer. At least in the subway, there's an excuse. The 2 other times, there is no excuse. And it's just like...
The subway mission has one really bad aspect to carrying the people. Is the first one you find... I think the first one you find. It depends on like which area you go into in there. You summon your legion and fight off dudes. The second one is a shorter distance, so they made it so summoning the Legion would make you drop the person. So they don't even follow the same rules and things they do between...
I remembered one of the...
Yes,
I picked up
worst... I picked one up that was 20 steps away. I summoned the Legion, and they're like, no, you dropped them. I'm like, why? It's because, there's no enemies in this one, so we're just going to make you drop them if you try.
I remembered one of my most hated parts of the game. It is a blue case in the same area where you have to save Alan King when you and you can take the picture of him tied up. It's over in a corner though. It's like a cop going
where you have to heal the dude while fighting off
where you have to heal him, and enemies endlessly spawn. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? Why? And then I had to figure out you have to grab him with your Legion with L and A, or ZL and A. I forget which.
Yeah, ZL and A.
I think it's ZL and A. You don't have, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm intended to have the Legion stay on him and I fight the things that spawn by myself. But that wasn't working because it would pull the Legion away. Then I realized, no, you don't you press ZL and A to grab him, but you don't then hold ZL and A. You can only hold A and then fight them, and it won't pull the Legion off them.
Yeah.
If you hold ZL and A, it'll pull them off them every time you try to attack.
Yeah, because
you're holding the Legion button.
Yeah, so you're going to do the yank, which is what happens when you hold the Legion button and push an attack button.
Now, Phil mentioning that reminded me of one of the things I hated. The most recent use of it was in file number 10. When you're doing the various different missions, Hal says, yo, there's like a scanner that's broken. Can you go deal with that? And you run up to it.
Almost the exact same thing.
You run up to it and you hit the ZL and A to start, or no, you just go up to it and you're fixing it. And enemies spawn. And I'm like, oh shit. And then I hit ZL and then that summons your Legion. It starts hitting and I'm like, this works. This is fine. I time my button presses right. He'll charge and knock it away. But then you reach the point of, oh, this scanner is a vertical pole sticking out, not too thick. The Legion got positioned in just the perfect way that enemies were swinging and hitting me, and I hit ZL to have him attack them. He just charges straight through the pole and then decides not to hit the enemies at all, and he was just stuck.
Yeah, how many times
I was like, attack them. It's like, no, I don't know how to go around.
You can put your Legion, you can bring him to water, but you can't make him drink. You can put him right next to the enemy. He won't do
another
anything.
really another keynote part of this game is where you're using the Beast Legion and you get the move that electrifies the chain.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm going to electrify the chain and then tie them up. That'll be really cool. And it is very intuitive. Then it goes, no, that makes too much sense. Once you tie them up, it's not electrified anymore. Fuck you.
Yeah, you have to just ride it on him, and that'll hurt him. I guess you can attack him while it's next to him. It doesn't make any sense.
7 out of 10.
And yeah, that's the thing. We're sitting here pointing out all of the shortcomings of this game, but like, as I said before, if this game was really polished and fully developed as concepts at every level, this could have been my game of the year. Like, this could have been my favorite Platinum game.
Imagine if they tightened up all the random problems with it, didn't have motion controls, and it ran at 60 frames a second.
That would be a very different game. That would be fucking incredible.
I just like how during my stream yesterday, at the time of recording this anyway, Phil says something to the effect of, don't worry, Dan, what's going to happen is we're going to say that this game is all right and give it a decent score, and then we're going to punch on it for 4 hours. And you started cackling because you knew that's what was going to happen.
Actually, his phrasing was, what was it? I'm going to list a bunch of things wrong with the game. He's going to agree and then give it a really high score. And yes, it is high for these problems we keep talking about.
I mean, I expected to give this an 8, but after our discussion, I ruminated on it, and I'm like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that.
There are a few things influencing my score here. Number 1 was all the bad parts. Number 2 is kind of thinking about how I would score it in relation to other things I've scored on here. And number 3, I went, also, I'm not giving this shit an A because I feel like if I give it an A, they're going to be like, what are you, nuts?
I'm going to be honest. I stepped into this fucking...
I give it an 8.
I stepped into the spoiler cast expecting you and Phil to give it a 10 and a 9.
Okay, I was going to make a meme about a 10, but no. No, it's a 7, and I'd say it's a low 7.
Yeah, I was really on the border of like...
IGN score of 7.1, 7.2.
Yeah, it's so close to a 6. Like it gets that buff of having all these interesting concepts.
There was maybe, if it had another file, maybe it would do enough psychic damage to make it go into a 6 for me.
I think about a lot of like Studio Ghibli films.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think their stories are great, but they build a really great world, and that's really cool to look at.
Yeah.
This has a feeling kind of like that, but stumbles on most of it. Like it doesn't look great it's not great to look at. It just has an interesting theme, and I like the idea of the combat, but it's so much wrong.
Like when you communicate with the game through playing it, Bob, you know, it's doing its world building. You're like, wow, how big is this world? And the game's like, I know, right? And you're like, no, I'm genuinely curious. Like how many sectors are there? And it's like, I know, right? You're like, game.
Harmony Square, right?
All of the arc is getting devastated, as in Harmony Square.
Astral Chain has the same Metacritic score as Devil May Cry 5.
Oh.
Dude, this is good. Don't try and damage him. Does every spoiler cast have to be like this, where you find something that hurts? Like Kingdom Hearts 3 with the Joss Whedon blurb in that review.
Oh man,
this has a Metacritic of 88.
That's insane.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying earlier. They give you a bunch of potions.
Sequel that's better, then sure.
They give you a bunch of potions, so most reviewers are going to be fine with the combat. Like most of them didn't engage with any of the combat trials or the harder difficulties. Like they aren't thinking about how many attacks.
Some of them were really mad that there were no letter rankings in the game.
Some of the, like, they don't even realize they're fucking attacks that are unavoidable except for certain, like, you have to pull out a Legion and sit there and diffuse the projectiles with the Axe Legion. Like, this game is inelegant. None of it plays well together at all. Like,
yeah.
Synergistic is the last word I would use to describe all the different mechanics in this game. It's a clumsy fucking circus.
I want to talk about how...
and we're the clowns.
The Legions don't feel unique enough.
Well, yeah,
they really don't.
Yeah,
because
some of them have unique things, but they don't, like, capitalize on it.
They have, like, a unique technique in the when you hit L, but so many of them, they all have, like, repeating moves. There's not enough unique skills on each. Like, it's like, oh, the Axe one has the orbital crystals that shield you, or the Sword Legion has a move where if you tie it, the Sword Legion has, like, summon swords and stuff like that.
I feel like
then they all have beat rush.
That boils down to, like, the way you use any of them is send them to the enemy, hit the other button to jump to them so you can attack him with the enemy, or attack the enemy with them right next to him. And that's what I feel like I'm doing with any of them. Like, there's no significant difference. Even with the archer, I can't just have him sit next to me and shoot arrows. I have to send him out next to the enemy to shoot arrows. It's like, what do you...
I mean,
the
the only
Arm
reason I
Legion
use
has
the arrow
a unique
more
thing it
is
can
that
do, but it's so inconsistent, I can't explain how you do it. Where you throw the Arm Legion at them, and it will, like, grab them by the throat and pull them to you.
Right.
But I could never make that consistently happen.
Guess what? Here's the trick. The game is inconsistent. It's not tied to anything. It just does it sometimes, and other times it doesn't. You push forward in ZL, and some enemies it works on some of the time, and other times some enemies it never works on.
It felt like, no, if it's in any kind of an animation, it doesn't work. You don't get to interrupt anything. Screw you.
I'm like, go Arms Legion, and Arms Legion is like, whoa, and it flies out, and then it looks at me and it T-poses.
Imagine if you're playing Devil May Cry 5 and you're like, I'm going to snatch an enemy to me as Nero. And it's like, oh, that enemy was in the middle of, like, walking to you, so the snatch bounces off. It only works if they're completely still.
Yeah.
After talking about it so much, I'm like, maybe I should lower my score to 6. But
you're right. Maybe I should put it up to an 8.
Yeah, go for it, Casey. It sounds like you've had a lot of fun.
I mean,
tell me more about the platforming, please.
Bob, the platforming's bad.
You're trying to strong-arm me to make it a 6-2.
Bob, the
want to talk about the red matter someday?
Bob, the platforming's bad, but also the combat's bad.
Okay, let me tell you about the single worst segment in all of Astral Chain.
Okay.
Now that you've reminded me of red matter. Okay, here's what I'm gonna go into a gate and fight things. You need to clean up this entire rooftop area. Okay, I'm gonna collect this red matter. Okay, I'm gonna close these gates. All right,
I have 95%. Where's it going?
We have set up these Arm Legion platforms. And 4 of them. And we're gonna put some shit on the middle of a couple of them so it's hard to move around. We're gonna put 3 gates in the middle of the air, and they shoot Zangetsu rocks at you. And if you fall, they reset the platform's positions. And I spent 9 minutes and I didn't close a single fucking gate. I kept falling.
Yeah, I think I got 25 or somewhere between 25 and 40% of the cleanup done.
Are diagonal, Dan. Why can't they at least be vertical or horizontal or something?
So
I
that
got
way you have to
almost
pixel bitch
all
with
that
your
area
stick.
clean.
On your first try?
I got 80% on my first try.
I got something
Well,
like
good
between
for you.
Yeah, because I did the floaty platform thing as one of the first things I did. Like I did idle cleanup on the way
floating
there.
platform thing, but what I did was I had the arm platform grab it and move me out of the way of the cube.
I think the way I finally got through that was I threw my Arm Legion in front of the cube. It took the damage, and then I was able to get around.
That's what I tried to do. But then, like the combination of that and trying to platform made me want to blow my brains out. I finished that
shooting 3 of them.
I finished that with between 25 and 40%, and my sister then goes, "Oh, I guess I need to help you finish up." And I'm like, "Fuck you, bitch! I'm gonna toss you off this building."
She said the same thing at 80%. I was pretty upset.
She said I was over 90, and she said that.
I like how she gets to be overconfident, and then anytime any important thing happens in the game, she's like, "I'm sorry, I can't help you."
She's like,
this. Or I'm sorry, I need to take the L here. I need to be the most useless supporting character in any video game KZ's played in 5 years.
I'm sorry, Yosef had to shoot you down with a gun squad. It's just how it had to happen.
Yeah, no, like, and that's
stop. As she's like dancing back and forth, taking no action, and then he does it, and she's like, "Okay, I guess."
Well, yeah,
this won't cause me to reflect at all.
The next time you fucking see her, she's like, "You should probably apologize to Yosef." And it's like, he gunned me down on a street as you watched.
You're killing me because you're reminding me that Jenna Anderson exists, one of the most useless antagonists ever. That I don't understand, where she's trying to get you on her side, but then sometimes she doesn't want you on her.
I don't understand what her motivation is, because it changes 18 times in the course of the game.
And within that file, she's like, "All right, I got to take you out. All right, I'm gonna leave and leave you alive. Oh man, I can't let you fuse. I need to kill you." So she just straight up changes whether or not she's supposed to kill you or not. But she's like, "I warned you this would happen." No,
you didn't, bitch.
It's one of the things I hate in writing the most is this character thinks that they are morally right in some way, and that you don't know the full story. Refuses to tell you the fucking story.
I am 100% convinced she was supposed to be your mom, because she vanished exactly when those characters were born.
Oh my god.
That
Please
could have
stop
been
making
anything.
this more painful. Please stop.
Because it literally says she vanished 19 years ago. Your characters are 19 years old.
Oh, man.
I want to die. Feel is 100% on with this.
You were supposed to be Yosef and Gina's kids.
I like that Yosef, we never get even for a second think that he's in the right. There's no chance for that.
Right?
Like, so your characters are sitting here saving him from Jenna, and it's like, dude, he's talking about the annihilation of all mankind. Why is
I like the part where he says become as gods, and it's like it tries to trick you into thinking it's a much better game than that.
No, that was the part where it reminded me of Nier, and I just wanted to kill myself.
That happened in file 3.
Now,
yes, it did.
I just realized this. The purple homunculus, the big boss one that has 3 heads, looks a lot like the purple Ava unit.
The first custom color set you get, if you're really diligent, is literally the colors of Ava Unit 1.
I got Asuka's Ava unit color scheme too.
The purple stuff makes sense because it's the fusion of the bad guys and the good guy, the red and the blue, so I can kind of see where they're coming from with it.
Yeah, but like literally that custom color set is straight up, the detail lines are green. It's the exact shade of purple and green. They know, and they stole from Ava, and they didn't have anything interesting to do with it. That's the worst part.
I really like how the Ravens have the red legions, and that means nothing except Yosef went into the settings and set the RGB file to evil.
Also, we haven't even talked about he invented cloning because your sister got hurt.
Also, all the research on legions helped him in doing cloning somehow.
Well, he's a super ultra genius, and he had been investigating the legions for 20 years, so he could clone legions super fast in 30 seconds. Remember how they say, oh, Gina broke the legion production facility, so it's going to take months before we can make them again, and suddenly he has like 100.
Yes.
Yeah, and before they had 5. That was it.
Yeah.
And each one was unique.
Uh-huh. And 2 of them were from dead cops from 13 years ago, I'm certain.
When you have to fight boss versions of your legions that are bigger and purple, and that means nothing.
Yeah, it really frustrated me how many different chimeras were literally just using legion movesets.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the fact that Yosef sucks your dick for the first like 4 or 5 missions about how, man, even I wish I had your power. You're the only hope for humanity. You went over to that place. You're basically worthless.
Well, he had all his clones by then, so it's fine.
What I want to see from video games, and this spoiler cast is a really great place to bury this for some reason. You know how he sits there and he sees Jenna Anderson's evolution after she takes Blue Evolve and she becomes a giant god thing that looks kind of Bayonetta-esque?
It really does.
And then he goes, beautiful, or she's so beautiful. Just once, I want to skirt around the trope of that moment and just have the evil scientists go, nice. Like, instead of just creaming themselves over how beautiful it is, instead just
I
be
thought you were gonna
nice.
like have a character look at him and go, what?
We just always need.
I really like how
Edgar Wright's JRPG.
When the Raven takes their helmet off and it's revealed to be a clone of Akira, I was absolutely expecting that suit to be empty, and that would have been better.
That would have been better. I expected it to be clones of your sister.
Yeah, no,
because that's such a fucking brain
As
dead.
they were taking it off, I'm like, it's got to be her. It's got to be her.
I thought
it's going to be dumb.
Yeah, Ava does.
In my head, I was like, it'll be empty, and he's making evil legions to do his bidding, and that are automated. That would have been a lot better.
That would have been a lot better feel. Good job.
The reason you thought that feel is because you haven't seen Ava. So once the game started to be, we're going to go full Ava because instrumentality's neat, you should have known those were clones of your sibling or
as
relative.
Soon as they started, there was a point where I kind of, I was like, all right, it's going to be schlocky anime shit the whole way through for every plot development that happens. And I'm like, that's just going to be clones of her. He just made the clones when she got injured. That's why. And it's like, I remembered the scene because I was working on videos that after she gets saved, she's like in the pod with the water, and I was like, oh, here they're in the pods with the red. It was easy to just see that was the direction they were going.
It was the easiest direction
story
to go.
Sucks.
Yeah, this story is really bad, and that wouldn't be nearly as much of an issue if the rest of it was a perfectly executing game.
Instead,
it almost makes me wish that the Jenna Anderson character didn't exist in the game.
I just wish any character had a plot thread that involved character development or delivered on some sort of theme or did anything that was functional, mentally functional for a second, like Jenna and everyone else. Bob, you were gonna...
Replaying the game makes you realize the detective segments are insane. You need to do every single thing in that detective area before he even lets you leave. You don't have a chance to miss out on something.
I mean, you need the keywords, but technically you don't have to talk to the boys and find out which one's the oldest one.
Ooh. Yeah. So
I thought you were gonna talk about how the fact that you don't need every keyword in like 6 out of 10 times those keywords don't matter. It's like when you do file 2 over again, and you can get like 6 keywords in that first place, but you only need 2 of them.
Well, it's to confuse you, so if you might say them wrong and then get penalized.
Well, see, that's the thing. That would be neat if they didn't have things that would also work as valid options, because you do the investigative thing, and it's like, why is the Chimera here? And I'm like, because it came in through a gate. And it's like, no, you fucking dipshit. It's here because it's pulling people through the gate. And I'm like, you asked why it was here.
Your question, Dad, was, why is it here? What you wanted to say is, why did it want to come here?
Exactly. It's like, how did the terrorist get here? It owns a fucking car, Dad. And then your dad's like, no, you fucking idiot. It got here because blowing things up.
It's the Ace Attorney shit of they're asking you a question, and you and the game are thinking of 2 different steps in the chain of shit to do. Which just happened naturally with stuff like in the Sector 9 area. There's a part where the blue evolved dealer dies, and the first thing I do is twice try to examine the camera that was near that area.
You have. It has to tell you can examine the camera.
And then I had to go through
you dumb baby, you absolute moron.
It's not that I'm a moron, it's that my brain is so big, I'm already on step 3 and they're on step 1.
They're like, listen here, Time Lord. You don't know that yet.
I have a question.
Turn your iris online.
Yeah.
You like how the legions can just do whatever
Bob,
the fuck who cares?
Bob, I have a question.
Sure. What's up?
All right, here's the question. So, the Hermits, led by Kyle, figured out that they could use Blue Evolve to be able to both see and take out the Chimeras. Why does it work, but then suddenly not?
Because I thought it was 2 different drugs.
I assumed that he got the evil version of Blue Evolve that second time.
I assumed it was like an evil version.
Yeah, but they don't
overdosed.
Talk about it after that mission, even though it's very much implied in a way that maybe Jenna like took the real stuff.
So Jenna is an extra-dimensional time beast who came from 20 years in the past, so her taking Blue Evolve might affect her differently than these thugs. The thugs just OD'd was the impression I got, because some of the thugs who took
that's
it before...
what I got. A better question is, why did them taking the Blue Evolve start to cause the planes to fuse for no reason?
Because they implied early on that that's why they saw
a breakdown of reality.
Right, like they implied early on that the whole reason that sector was off limits is because Blue Evolve was being used there originally, and Blue Evolve caused that problem. But
that's correct.
They don't really.
Oh wait,
talk about it.
Wait.
That.
No. The anti-redshift drugs are not Blue Evolve.
No,
the anti-redshift drugs are some other thing entirely.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Blue Evolve is just a performance enhancement drug. The anti-redshift drugs are some drugs that were in circulation, but then they stopped because they think it caused the event there.
I thought that the implication was it was the Blue Evolve was that.
No.
I'm gonna kill myself.
I thought the implication was that the Blue Evolve, where they were the same drug.
Because if there was the same drug, then anyone in that zone would have been like, we're getting the thing we got before. No, this is the new shit. Well, they refer to that multiple times. Kyle talks about, like, with this new shit, Blue Evolve, they have the power to stop, like, the threat that is red shit.
Here's the reason it's easy to think that that's what it was, though. They give you a 40-minute long segment of you reading shit, and all the shit is only relevant to this part of the game for this specific mission. So you're like, oh, it's all Section 9 stuff. So clearly the drug thing must also be that, because they had,
Well, it was out of circulation for 15 years. Now it's back. So that's why I'm still going to
That's also why. It's like, oh, they stopped using it, so... Clearly.
But that's the thing. Like, the anti-redshift drug is a drug they give people who are suffering from redshift to stop it, and it caused the outbreak.
Right.
This is a drug that doesn't seem to have that effect at all.
Is there anything in the game that reveals who Hal is at all?
No.
No, the ending.
I mean,
the ending.
He's someone from the tech part of Neuron.
He was the first leader of the Hermits.
That's
there were
specifically what I meant, because there's
lines that apply it, and it shows him with Kyle at the end of the game.
Oh,
Okay.
So they don't exactly say it. It's something you still have to infer.
Yeah, kind of, because one of the NPCs in that area was like, man, Kyle's cool, but the last leader of the Hermits was a super awesome tech guy who could do anything with tech. And I'm like,
oh, okay.
Oh,
There
so
actually
it's
is something
how.
that basically says it then.
Because
my whole issue is Kyle acts like, wait, who is this Hal guy really? At one point, and the whole thing of him going like, they used to be really like a really good group before made me think, oh, is he like related to them in some way? But there's nothing in your face that says it.
Yeah.
I want to say that before they revealed that yellow drone was controlled by a person, I was so fucking terrified it was going to be the claptrap of the game.
Yeah.
Nah, it's fine. Which I think it's hilarious that they also got the voice of 9S from Nier to do that guy.
You know what I like? I like how your dad fights with a dual wields the sword and the gladius, and you can never learn to do that. I also like how the giving you the gladius clearly like infers that you should get more weapon modes in the future, and you just don't.
Guys, we've been punching on this game. It's been that scene from JoJo's for 3 hours now. I would genuinely like someone to try to be positive about this game. Like, what's your favorite part of the game, Bob?
Oh, no.
We gave it 7s out of 10s, each of us, and yet I feel like it's so hard for any of us to say our favorite part.
I felt like eventually we could sneak one of these segments in there.
Right.
To reward those who've been in the desert.
It really is just the concept level of like controlling your legion and your main character, but it delivers so badly. I can't even say that I like it
so
that
we're on the
much.
same page of like our favorite part of the game is the game design document.
Right, but well before the game was made.
Like I would green light this. I would green light
Bob,
this in a heartbeat.
Do you think maybe 7 was too high for a score for you to give?
It might have been.
You can change it. The important thing is what the number is by the end of the spoiler cast, because we're here to discuss the game now.
Okay, at the very end, we will once again repeat our Famitsu scores.
Yes, and it will be two different sets.
Put it in your hat for now. Put it in your hat for now.
Yeah, I really want to like it.
Paper.
Like the music is really good. The music I can wholeheartedly be like, this is great.
I want that soundtrack.
Yeah, like it's super unique. I don't hear anything else like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic mix between like Zone of the Ender style music and Resogun, where it's this awesome like Hans Zimmer-esque Daft Punk Tron Legacy feel. Great soundtrack.
Yeah, like
Great
the
soundtrack.
jumping between some of the epic, more like blockbuster movie music when you're going through some of the action areas to Task Force Neurons theme, which is a big bop.
Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Lappy is good.
Lappy's fantastic.
Like that's the best part of the writing.
Yes.
But she stops. They stop
Marie's
doing
tits are massive. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah, and then they do the whole tie in between them, and it's just really like, what, really, guys?
Yeah, like when you see a profile shot, I'm like, oh my god, this is like Byleth from fucking Fire Emblem.
Don't criticize my favorite part of the game, Bob.
What the eyebrows with tits?
Marie is very good. I won't hear besmirching against her.
Look, Marie's great.
Yes, Marie is the best character in the game.
That was going to be what Phil said is his favorite part of the game.
Why isn't she the main character?
Why isn't she a more important character? Because she has something resembling a personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the most developed character in the game, literally. Oh my god. Yeah, I just...
So Dan, do you have a positive take on the game here?
My favorite part of the game is the music, but if I had to say something that's literally the game and not something that can be extracted from the game and viewed separately, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Lappy. Like, I was hoping to meet a universe of characters that were as developed as Lappy and had enough moments. I think it's really weird that the moment the organization Neuron turns evil, they write into the text logs that she no longer works there because they didn't want to have to write how she dealt with it.
They fired everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, It's so disappointing. Like I kept,
makes no fucking sense. Most of what she did was mop. You still need somebody to mop.
Right?
yeah.
We don't have time for cute mascots now, or mopping. We're evil.
I really was expecting that whole final mission for your old team to show up and there to be a legitimate Kino moment of, yeah, we got Alice, we got Jin, it's gonna be a feel good moment, and then maybe your dad shows up. But
they
nothing.
surrounded you with ravens like 4 fucking times in those last 2 files, and I'm like, surely at some point Kyle and Alan and all these people would show up and be like, we'll take care of these guys, you go beat up Yosef. But no, even that fucking low ball pitch, even that underhand pitch to get a home run was fumbled.
So, Casey, what's your favorite part?
Yeah, because Field doesn't know what pop.
I mean, the thing is,
I started punching down on it. That's my fault.
We're struggling is the fucking problem. I gave it a 7 out of 10, but when you ask me what my favorite part is, I'm like, the soundtrack and Marie. Like, that's not great.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's the design document. The design document's my favorite part of the game because this game could have been a 10 out of 10 for me.
My favorite part of the game, I'll just say it's, a segment. The entirety of File 7 is the ideal thing of what I wanted from Astral Chain. A long segment of cool platinum stuff of there's a giant monster crawling on buildings that you're chasing through. Sometimes it's chasing you. Ends in a really cool boss fight. There's a really nice spectacle to it, a good pacing to it. There's nothing slow about it, and the whole thing took 45 minutes.
The only problem I have with that chapter is it has the same problem as every other one, where every time they want you to chase it and like make a really big deal of, yeah, you should keep going, this is gonna be cool, you should really turn around, pick up some red matter, find a case, you do all this other junk.
Yeah, you gotta scrape it.
Oh yeah, you see, this is what happens. I looked at that and said, I don't want to do that. I'm hyped. I'm just gonna keep running.
Right? And that's like, you have to just sit there and ignore the content.
And because at that point, I realized I'm going to redo these cases anyway because I just want better upgrades to make myself better in my Let's Play I'm doing. I'm gonna redo them anyway. There's no reason for me to engage with every single thing here. Like, I can dispose of a gate if it appears on my way, because that takes like 5 seconds, but I'm gonna keep going and make the pacing myself, which is why when I did the case that happens after it, the horrible filler thing, in the video form, I skipped almost everything.
Yeah.
Because it's a major pace breaker, but yeah, that's my favorite. My favorite part of the game is the ideal part of it, File 7.
I mean, I feel like File 7 is one of the better parts because investigating goes so stupidly. It
has the things I like. It has the really cool action to it. I think I enjoyed the boss enough.
What's your deal, Phil? What's your favorite part?
I like the music now that I've heard it outside the game. All the monster designs are really good. I like the structure of the game. I don't have a problem with doing, like, okay, do minor investigations around an area and then go on to the main investigation. Except all the minor ones are usually bad.
Yeah, like structurally that doesn't have to be bad, but it is.
Yeah.
Like, then just trying to replay it even once is just frustrating.
Yeah, I think I was talking to Bob and I said
they should have focused more on the chain mechanic because it feels so underused to me. Like, if you chain counter an enemy, it gets thrown so far away, it feels like you can't even capitalize on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want you to do a big jump over to it.
Even that won't get you all the way to it sometimes. It's really bad.
Yep, it's not ideal.
I like... the game is not terrible. And the concepts and presentation are so strong that it makes me give it a 7.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just... all the concepts are really strong. The music's strong. The monster designs are strong. The structure is good. Most of the character designs are good.
Except the ones that look like the character creator.
Yeah.
What, all of them?
All that stuff helped a lot.
All of them except Marie.
No, it's Malie, Alicia, and Jin. I think that those are the only 3 character models outside of main
I was on
character.
mostly media blackout, so I almost thought that Marie was one of the main characters you could choose because I kept seeing art of her holding the cat.
Man, remember that whole thing when they introduced the cats? And it felt like that might do
Yeah, there's
something?
a cat in every file that you can go get.
Yeah, there's a cat in every file.
Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to realize you could hit the X button and take Lappy's secret shortcut to Max's hidden cat domain?
I saw it in the list.
I constantly used that. So as soon as I unlocked that,
It's really bizarre that Lappy has a secret shortcut to a place that only Max and your sister should know about, but
well, she has to mop it.
Well, there's that other scene.
she has to mop that
There's
place
that
that's
scene
nowhere
where
near
Marie
HQ.
figures it out. If you remember that part.
Yeah.
Where Marie figures out that that's the thing you're doing. Like, I'm buying plenty of cat food for you.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, you have a place for them? Here's the cat food and a wormhole." But yeah, I don't know.
I do like me some wormholes, but I think we've all given a positive take, and feels given 18 negative takes over the course of it.
Well, the problem is this thing's riddled with problems, and I said, I still think
we're talking about a game that is a bar of Swiss cheese.
Yeah. One thing I didn't get to know, the very last thing, there are moments where floating long-range enemies, the game will place them outside of the walls where there are invisible walls in the astral plane, and you can't send your legion to attack it. Your legion will just hit the invisible wall and stare at it. Even worse, the enemies won't even attack you, so it becomes this long distant relationship you're having with the enemy.
Stop it! See, look what you're doing.
What do you love?
You factor inaccurate with your blaster for no reason.
Yeah,
It looks cool.
it looks really cool.
So there's an enemy 100 miles away shooting you with shit, and we're like, well, I'll switch to the blaster. Oh no, only 1 of 40 shots hits it, and it does 2 damage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dan,
Yeah.
now that we've talked about the game for 18 years, what is your score again for Astral Chain?
I'm so conflicted on the score on this, but I'm going to stand resolute that I like the gameplay concepts and everything for this game so much. The investigation could have been so much more, but I love the concepts here so much. And it is so sad that it's a pile of really disappointing moments, like from a plot angle, from a mechanics level. But if you made a sequel, it could be a 10 out of 10. So I think there's a really solid foundation for a really disappointing building here. I'm still giving this a 7 out of 10. But honestly, if the music was bad, 6, because dealing with bad gameplay with terrible music is so much worse.
Yes.
So
Music can do a lot to really, really save a game. Feel.
I'm still going to give it a 7 out of 10. This game could have an absolutely amazing sequel. And I like all the stuff about the presentation and the structure. It's just the gameplay and there were a lot of moments where I really enjoyed the combat. There was moments where everything worked as it feels like they intended it to work. There was just also a lot of moments where it felt like that wasn't the case.
Well, that's reasonable. Bob?
This is really tough because honestly,
are you adjusting your wonderful score of a 7 while saying it's one of the worst platinum games you've ever played?
I mean, it's definitely that. Like the only thing it has to compete with is TMNT. Like that's the only one.
No,
This is worse
TMNT.
than TMNT.
TMNT is so much worse.
Right, that's the one.
I forgot TMNT existed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that ran at 30 FPS on PS4 Pros.
Yeah, and it has a terrible structure. It's the only one that's definitely worse than this game.
Yeah, it's like we don't like to count it because it's clearly one of the Activision Mine games.
Right. I constantly put those in a separate dimension when I think about Platinum's catalog because they're such weird creatures made on such a short dev cycle.
They are things that they desperately needed to make because they needed the money so bad.
Basically, this is a 6.8. Like that's where it lands, so I just have to decide if that means it gets rounded all the way down and stays in the 6 range.
I think that makes it. I think that makes it a 6.
Hey Bob, using the platinum, using the scoring system in Astral Chain, that would make it a 6, because if you get an S on a single case in the whole mission, it's not an S plus. No, you have one S, so fuck you. It rounds to S.
Okay, I'm gonna put it at 6 because I feel like they're so easy. There's so many better action games I can think of.
I mean, when
like
you're
this one's just conceptually really interesting and unique, and I think people should play it for that sake.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want to give it a 6 because anyone should play it, but I totally understand you doing that.
Yeah,
you're sitting here being like, Bujingai might be a better game, right, and that's fucking insanity.
When I have to sit here and be like, Chaos Legion came out 2 decades ago or something, and they might have achieved this concept better.
Well, the thing is, Chaos Legion's a hard game. It's harder than this game, so that's why it didn't review anywhere near as well.
I mean, I remember playing Chaos Legion, and I wouldn't say it's anywhere near as good as this game.
I need to play it again, but I have to suspect that. Like, I shouldn't. This game should be worlds better.
Right.
But every part of moving your character feels so bad. Every part of the combat where you do a dodge, and then you take damage because who knows? You do a counterattack. They can still damage you while you're doing your counterattack. You get locked in some huge animation that looks cool, but doesn't actually hit the enemy.
Right, because your damage output for a sync attack isn't high enough to justify you sitting there and taking whatever they throw up the ass. Like,
right, like my favorite one is when your sync attack with the sword ends in an uppercut. It doesn't hit the enemy up. The enemy then does his own uppercut that hurts you and hits you up.
Yeah, that did happen. I watched it happen. I love every time you do a sync attack and your enemy attacks your Legion literally attacks nothing.
Yeah, when he attacks the wrong enemy.
Or he attacks the right enemy and you're swinging at midair.
Yeah, everything is so undercooked in here. I can't and wholeheartedly say it's even a 7. So yeah, I guess I'm moving it down to a 6.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, having played through the whole game, I really enjoyed my time. It has a gameplay loop and like the moment-to-moment combat. A lot of the time I found I really liked, but, you know, given some of the responses sometimes of like all the other problems that exist within the combat that can happen, I started, in my head, relating it to my experiences with Final Fantasy 15, where I liked some parts of that, but also there's a lot of glaring fuck you problems.
Oh my god, when dodging in this feels exactly like dodging in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, there are these things where it's like, I love a lot of aspects of this, but there are some things that it just fucking ruins and squanders its opportunities. It's a 6.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah,
this does feel a lot. I
can't give it a 7 because in my mind, a 5 is average. It's middle of the road. And this is slightly above that tier because I had a desire to replay parts of it.
Here's the thing. You know, I've said this a few times, but I honestly can't score this a 6 or a 5 because I think people should play it and I think it's important. And
I mean, I also think people should play it, but I'm still gonna like score it based on my experience and not on the trying to get people to.
Oh yeah, no.
I scored on how I feel and less on like trying to get people to jump onto it.
Right. Like our scores aren't a marketing campaign for it, but
yeah, I try to.
At the end of the day,
go based on what I feel for it.
At the end of the day, when I think about like, because I looked at a bunch of games, like Zone of the Enders 2 was at one point in time my favorite video game. Zone of the Enders 2, replaying it is a nightmare. I think Astral Chain's worse about that, and in fact worse than Uncharted 4, which is insane. Like, there's a lot about what Astral Chain does that makes replaying it just miserable. Like all the walk and talk, all of the really plotting gameplay. But yeah, I don't know. I still feel strongly enough about the soundtrack and the game design documents. That's why I'm giving it a 7. But I 100% fucking understand the 6. Absolutely. So I guess everyone said what they had to say. Thank you for listening to the Spoilercast. Sometimes talking about a game with spoilers means talking about all the frustrating moments you had with that game.
There's always at least one more thing to say, but I no, we don't need to dig in anymore.
You know what, Bob?
I'm just happy. I'm happy that to promote that we've recorded this, I was able to make a tweet that's titled, "An important aspect of our Astral Chain Spoilercast." I posted the box art of Bujingai on the PS2. It could mean anything.
Bob, we'll take one more thing from you, and that'll be
I can't.
No.
You're gonna break 3 hours.
Just no. We just need to stop. We've talked about the 105 ways this game is bad.
I mean, I got to talk about everything I wanted to talk about, except for 80% of the plot threads that suck shit. But
right.
But that could be a 2-hour-long video on itself. Like,
yeah, we don't need to dive into it anymore.
I'm done. I feel like I got it all out of my system. It would be really great if this plot wasn't just a collage of neat animes the dude watched over the last 30 years.
Mostly Ava.
Yeah. It's a lot of Ava.
This is such a weird game to talk about because all the things that I liked are not exactly things you can have a lengthy discussion about.
Right, because it's like...
I think you should buy this game because it has a lot of good elements presentation-wise, and a sequel will probably be good.
I also think plenty of people can brute force past some things that we would find mediocre about it.
That's true. And also, we're doing a fucking podcast. There's no reason to go, well, I won't bring up that.
I mean, yeah, this is the place. This is the place where people go when they just beat a game, but they can't.
I'm glad I don't have to edit it.
This is a place people get to go when they just beat a game and they can't talk to anybody else because they haven't beaten the game yet. They get to listen to this podcast, have a bit of a catharsis, or hate our guts. And either way, whatever. We hope you enjoyed it.
And let me again clarify. I bitched about a lot of stuff because the stuff I liked was not something that goes into conversation well.
Yeah,
the music is really good.
Do you guys want to sit here and listen to us talk about 20 minutes, the soundtrack track for Terra? Of course not. Do you want us to talk about Marie for 10 minutes? No. Okay,
no.
Maybe you
She's
do.
Good.
Maybe you do want that, but I don't want to be a part of a 10-minute conversation about Marie.
Dan, I'm going to need you to dig us out of this podcast as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Point is, I still think you should buy, if you're listening to this, you should buy and play Astral Chain if you enjoy action games or anime-esque games in general.
I think it's an action game that contributes to action games, which is good because Bayonetta 2 didn't.
Think of how many times the Wright brothers crashed into the fucking ground before they flew. This is just one of those things, and while not as valuable as the end result, still has to happen.
Okay. And thank you for watching Game Shirt.
No!
This GigaBoots video was brought to you by our magnanimous executive producers. Vincent Poverg, Nicholas Cameron, E. Lee Broyles, Brendan O'Sullivan, Star Falcon, Spaceman Spiff, Danny Richardson, Shadow in the Darkness, Dryzart, and Red Blaze 27. And also these guys. Head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today so you can try to be as cool as these people.